So today's nice out, isn't it? Today is the 26th of November, Monday, and my mind is a little mushy today.
Parking mode off.
Probably only had like 4 hours of sleep.
An impact was detected during parking mode.
Oops. Hold on, I gotta readjust the camera here. And I have to mess with my phone because the GPS is not happy. Okay, there we go. So, it's the 26th. I'm in slow-mo. I don't have or I have a messy topic to talk about. It's kind of scattered. And we'll wait for the sirens to stop. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the judicial system and the psychology community and the mass crimes being committed against me to try to make me look crazy. Now for 40 years with worldwide support, with all sorts of bunk labels to try to make me look crazy, to control or leverage themselves over me. For example, at the age 5, my family runs around stating that I'm a violent paranoid schizo. Why? Who knows? But they don't like me, so in order to try to leverage themselves over me, my entire life, these types of lies have been spewed to the world that I've supposedly done all these horrible things. Women claiming that I've hit them with masks on, like Jen Hess, who came over my house the next day, perfectly fine, no bruises or anything, sent after me by the police and government. That was the LAPD, but keep in mind this happens no matter where I am worldwide. I've had San Diego police hunting me down for years, which is strange because I've never lived or really been to San Diego other than Mike Wexler and Christina Stilinski wanting me to take road trips down there, Christina wanting me to meet her, trying to set me up to get me to go after her, which, like usual, failed miserably, and hence their reasoning is to just keep working on me all day and night, 24/7, to get these reactions, get these bunk arrests, and then say, look, he's a violent, crazy person, and we've dirtied up his, and then say, look, he's a violent, crazy person, and we've dirtied up his name with convictions, right? Now, they spent 46 years, or let's be realistic, 41 years, to provoke me all day and night with worldwide support, escalating from person to person, to try to get reactions, which they failed miserably every single time for 46 years. But in the end, they got so desperate that they had Officer Sean Dinsey, who was obviously paid off, to falsify police reports with jury tamper juries and things like this on these arrests, right? So while these arrests try to make me look like a public nuisance, they try to make it look like usual, like I'm violent and creating all this chaos, and people are supposedly going crazy because of me. Yeah, right, that's not what's really going on here. What's really going on is I turned 29. I found out something was very wrong with my life. I found out something was very wrong with my life. Since then, for the last 17 years, I've watched worldwide groups all day and night, 24/7, stalking, attacking me with billions of government dollars of resources to just remove me from society, right? Now, what they're doing with the psychology community now, they finally got these bunk misdemeanor convictions. And, you know, one of their charges was that I battered someone, which actually assault and battered me. They also tried to bring out in court a security guard, John Paul Naranjo, which attacked me and punched me 7 times in the back of the head. Pulled to by the police. Of course, the police didn't arrest him or anything, saying, well, because Starbucks doesn't want you here, which is every coffee shop or public place in the world, therefore it's okay for John Paul Naranjo to bash your skull in and kill you, right? But the reality of the situation is a security guard's job isn't to hunt down and kill people with the police. The security guard's job is to stand on a stupid property that he's paid to, and if something goes wrong, call the police. Now, is to stand on a stupid property that he's paid to, and if something goes wrong, call the police. Now, why didn't John Paul call the police? Because he was heavily involved in a crime. And why did John Paul punch me 7 times in the head, the first one from behind? Because he didn't want me getting photographs of a piece of paper Starbucks had filed on records with defamation and lies, all sorts of things stating I'm masturbating there, I'm harassing people. A gay guy that was working with the gay community sent after me at University of Colorado for some strange reason. Didn't want me talking. You name it, whatever. And this is all on video too, them trying to blackmail me into signing Starbucks paperwork admitting to their lies. And because, oh, and they wouldn't give me a copy of the paperwork that they wanted me to sign. This is all on video. So, because John Paul slapped down this paper they wanted me to sign, and I said I wouldn't sign it, because they had been attacking me for 10 years prior, trying to figure out how to lock me away in jail cells and mental institutions with all day and night, 24/7, 10 years of attacks. This one location alone, starting around 2001, which they are so desperate to cover up with the police. That's where things get freaky. Because I got photos of because I got photos and proof of their defamation and lies, which they tried to force me or blackmail me to sign, that is when John Paul Naranjo started trying to bash my skull in to put me in a hospital or coma or whatever. He threw the first punch, he kept going, punch after punch after punch after punch. He wasn't going to stop. Luckily, I stopped him. Every single person in that crowd did not stand up for me, of course, because they are all involved in trying to remove me from society with worldwide support. And therefore, oh, and of course, the cops didn't arrest him or anything, right? With the excuse that I'm making these people hunt me down and kill me or stalk me or try to remove me from society. Which I actually have some recordings of Allied Universal Security who has been following me to public places because they don't like the signs on my car, telling me, trying to remove me from every property on the planet, and basically telling me that I'm somehow making them do it, right? So the psychology community and police are trying to turn these things around on me, saying I'm a danger to them, I'm making them attack me. But of course they don't say it that way. What they say is, I'm a violent paranoid schizo and I attack the person and I think they attacked me, right? The same types of things they're doing with Jen Hess, who they obviously paid off with my father to hunt me and stalk me, claim I hit her. Then when I tell someone what's going on, the police start hunting me with larger and larger groups that I did this to them, I did that to them, you name it, I'm a schizo, I need to get help, blah, 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 blah. While watching thousands to hundred thousands to millions of people per day worldwide attack me all day and night to try to make me look crazy, while each and every person just goes, I don't know you, and then they start attacking you in an angry rage. But of course they won't tell you what it's about, saying that I have to tell them what it's about, showing that they're just trying to throw the he's crazy label with the psychology community, and they're trying to get specific labels to cover up these mass crimes. So after these, in 2013, I mentioned in the other video the arrests for My Brother's Barbecue, which they arrested me for sitting on the sidewalk trying to make me look crazy, and they arrested me, Officer Jensen with his partner Sean Dinsey, arrested me for it started with sitting on the sidewalk, but because he really arrested me when I asked him for his badge number, because he was sitting there lying and provoking me, trying to get reactions. He was calling me a pedophile, saying if I take a picture of someone who's underage, you're a pedophile, which I tried to explain that, you know, pedophilia has to do with intercourse with naked children, right? It has nothing to do with someone with a camera in public who might have someone underage in their frame, right? Hence him trying to say, oh, well, you mentioned pedophilia, so now you're under investigation. But the whole pedophilia thing had been going on my entire life since they sent Mike Wexler, my brother's friend in University of Colorado, and Lynn Junkin after me on IRC, trying to get me to like her and things like that, which didn't work. Also working with Hollywood, the entertainment industry, with movies like Hackers, where they were both trying to get confessions that I was hacking people and try to make them mentally ill, and weird, crazy, just off the wall things like this. Just jumping from one thing to the next to try to rid me of the world. I explained the whole reasoning in my last segment, why they used My Brother's Restaurant as a schizophrenia name, to try to hint about things about my brother Jason Perlman, and I supposedly tried to steal Jen Yang or sabotage their relationship. That was his girlfriend, some Asian cheerleader in Calabasas High, Jen Yang, and I talked about that whole incident in my last segment. You know how my brother's saying I either tried to sabotage their relationship or steal her away, just making up random claims and lies with the psychology community and police, trying to make it look like I'm a horrible person, to just frame me and remove me from society, or try to set me up and remove me from society. So hence the whole My Brother's 2013 arrests, which I took a plea. I made a big mistake and I took a plea, but the problem was that the lawyer Jonathan Franklin, who was a crook, and they're all conspiring together, is the problem. He's a crook, and he was telling me things that he didn't want to get a police officer fired. Well, it's not a lawyer's job to protect corrupt police officers. It's the lawyer's job to defend your client when they pay you. And so, Jonathan Franklin, while he was ripping me off, the private investigator he introduced me to, was ripping me off. I think he introduced me to a civil lawyer who stole my money, refusing to do anything but take my money. All working together, trying to turn things around on me while taking my money. I can assure you this isn't really about fraud. It's about removing someone from society while taking turns on them all day and night until they can try to get them to snap, to say, look, this guy is a violent paranoid schizo. Right, that was 2013. Now the 2017 arrests, I now have a lawyer named Seymour Amster, and he, like the other lawyers, trust me, I called thousands of lawyers, and I had to hire lawyers. Trust me, I called thousands of lawyers, and I had to hire Seymour at the last minute because nobody would help me, no matter who I call worldwide. For example, at one point, a person named Bailey Bernard, who the police contacted and told to hunt me down, just like Jen Hess and many others since 5 years old. He followed me home from the park because he didn't want me telling anyone about these mass all day and night groups attacking me, which he damn well knows is going on because it's worldwide. And at the park alone, thousands of people per day for 15 years have come out attacking me in an angry rage. Things I'll talk about later with their terror operations. So much so that they actually had Fox News, after paying off Greg Gutfeld on Fox News to use his TV shows to try to turn me into a paranoid schizo. First it started with Red Eye, where he used Red Eye for to collect my daily life and try to send me messages, or send me reference messages within all of his shows every day. And then they started to, Greg Gutfeld is a writer, and so his newer shows involve, like, for example, The Five, are all hinting things about my life, where they use their shows to try to turn me into, or make me look like, a violent paranoid schizo. And people like Dana Perino are heavily involved, where they had actual lookalikes come down, like body doubles, come down to Encino. Lookalikes come down, like body doubles, come down to Encino Starbucks to try to flip me out or make me look crazy. This also happened with a porn star at this same location. Tia Cyrus had a lookalike. And then, of course, another porn star, Bella Anderson, was working with random people, random people coming in, trying to spook me or collect my Twitter or Facebook or social network conversations to flip me out that involved her. For example, she might say something online, a subtweet directed at me, and then people will come in and they'll do their street theater off the subtweet, and then of course it's nobody knows you and you're imagining it. These situations are endless all day. These situations are endless all day and night, 24/7, thousands of provokings per day at each and every location. So for example, at the Encino Starbucks, if I was there for 5 hours, you might see 20 people walk by and whistle at me as they either walk by or go to the bathroom. In the parking lots, you would watch thousands of cars per hour arrive, with things like them all starting to park backwards, or the ones parking backwards would park together in 2s and 3s, or everyone was told to take off their license plates and put on dealer plate covers or random plate covers, and all park together. So maybe I'm sitting outside and maybe you see 6 cars pull up. No license, 6 cars pull up. no license plates on them. Altogether, and then at one point you would watch the entire parking lot fill up with like with the entire parking lot fill up with 40% of the cars backwards, and some days upwards of 40% no plates on the cars in this huge lot alone, right? So if you were to do some kind of like statistical analysis, when everything is normal, it's very rare that you see a car without a plate. You know, you see them because people buy new cars, but when you see, if you can drive into a parking lot and 500 cars show up with no plates on in this one parking lot alone, something strange is going on. And the fact that the pattern of behavior changed from everything normal to instantly this progressive pattern of behavior from mass groups, which I have all photoed and videoed. For example, I have photoed and videoed. I hope the wind isn't too loud. So, for example, I have. You know, I'm gonna stop this. It's pretty loud. I don't know, maybe it's okay. So, for example, in 2011, I have photos and videos of the parking lots normal, and up until now, I have video and photos of the rate till now. I have video and photos of the rate of change. And then I have photos and videos of the parking lots normalizing again, showing that people are acting based on communication, based on them being told what to do all at the same time through the internet and SMS or emails, notification systems, right? Anyways, get the idea. So, Starbucks in Encino, they had a black guy hit me. The cops didn't care. Endless death threats from black people. The cops didn't care. Starbucks Corporation, the more I called them up telling them what was going on, the more people followed me to threaten my life. I was talking about the psychology community and these arrests. So anyways, you can see, I really haven't talked, you know what, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to put on, there's a audio wind thing, I'm going to try that, see if it's okay. Okay, I couldn't even hear myself talking, it was so windy, so I turned on, there's a little wind audio filter I'm gonna try. Also there's some traffic, which actually helps. I was talking about the attacks at Encino Starbucks, and trust me, this is worldwide, and I don't really want to get into the specifics of the psychological mobbings, because that'll sidetrack me. I am going to get into it later. It's a lot to talk about. It's going to be tons of conversations based on thousands and thousands of mass terror groups taking turns on me all day and night to try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo with the judicial system and psychology community to cover up destroying my life. But I don't want to get into the specifics. I sort of wanted to give you a few examples, and I'm starting to go off on that tangent. So, the 2017 arrests by lead officer Dinsey, who is a corrupt, lowlife piece of trash, with the rest of the LAPD, which I found out the LAPD is not about helping people or stopping crimes. That whole to protect and serve is a load of shit. That whole to protect and serve is a load of shit. They're criminals, they're trash. And they play this game like, we're going to hunt you down and destroy 40 years of your life while trying to kill you. You better not say anything or we'll kill you. Or try to make you look crazy and lock you away in jail cells or mental institutions. And then every time you go there and report a crime, they refuse to put it all together once you've established patterns of behaviors of being endlessly attacked and set up and hunted, showing they're heavily involved. Officer Sean Dinsey, a police officer, putting up a Facebook account, contacting mass groups to go after whoever he doesn't like. Officer Sean Dinsey also states on his website that people with mental illness can be dangerous, so we have to keep tabs on people with mental illness and things like that, while he goes out and picks and chooses who he doesn't like, and labels people with mental illness and hunts them down. Now, you need to remember one thing. Being mentally ill, even though I'm not, is not a crime. It's not a crime to have mental illness, to be mentally ill. It is not a crime to have OCD. It is not a crime to be depressed. It's not a crime to have anxiety. It's not a crime to have depression. While some people, it stops them from living their lives, it's still not a crime, right? A crime is a crime. And the police's only job is to stop crime. So people like Sean Dinsey and the LAPD, who I have police scanner recordings showing that they're following people around, labeling them as mentally ill and putting them on watch lists and stalking them, as well as illegal cell phone tracking. I have all that proof on my website showing the very corrupt trash LAPD that are hunting me to try to make me look crazy, are not about crime. They're the criminals creating crime. And they will label you. You're mentally ill, so we can hunt you down and kill you. You're black, so we can hunt you down and kill you. You're Latin, so we can hunt you down and kill you. You're Persian, so we can hunt you down and kill you. There's no difference between saying that person's mentally ill, whether they are or aren't, and hunting them down and killing them, or trying to incarcerate them for life, is the same exact thing as trying to rid a black person of the world or an Asian person of the world for the color of their skin or religion, right? It's all the same bigoted, racist, Adolf Hitler behaviors. So, you got Sean Dinsey, he's a skinhead. You got Bailey Bernard, who followed me home, assault and batteried me, which the cops are protecting. He's a skinhead. You got Terrence Scroggins, who was contacted off of Facebook by Officer Sean Dinsey saying to stalk me and set me up, which he flat out admitted on the stand. 2 days before these arrests with Terrence Scroggins, Bailey Bernard, I was notified by the guy at the Van Nuys Auto Body Shop. This is all the way in Van Nuys. I live in Woodland Hills. That Sean Dinsey has a Facebook account and he's hunting me down, and I better be careful. 2 days before these arrests, right? Well, let me tell you, if you're sitting there trying to live your life and you're watching mass groups of people attack you to try to set you up, and you find out it's been going on since 5 years old, and a guy where you're getting your car fixed for like a $400 bumper tab tells you that this cop is hunting you down, and he has a Facebook account notifying everyone to hunt you down, turning them into vigilantes. You get the idea. You're being hunted by the cops by some kind of personal vendetta since 5 years old, or some kind of government agenda. Now, I can't tell you in those 2 periods, those 2 days alone, how many people followed me, were yelling at me to try to get me to set me up to start fights. And they actually issued a temporary restraining order from Terrence Scroggins, who lives in number 2 of my complex, who is involved in all sorts of trying to extort money from me with the HOA. He kept running up, threatening me, and then trying to get me to go after him so he could, oh, poor me, right? You know, the pit bull that runs up to you, attacks you or threatens your life, and then he starts to run away. He's coming after me, oh, poor me, right? Well, he was told to do these things by Sean Dinsey, Topanga Division, LAPD, and the government, and this happens wherever I go worldwide, to just remove me from society and try to make it look like I'm a violent paranoid schizo. And when they actually issued, after these arrests, with Dinsey falsifying the police reports and discovery, turning everything around on me, and they issued me a temporary restraining order from Terrence Scroggins, I didn't even know who the restraining order was from, because there were so many people per day threatening my life, following me, attacking me, for the 17 years prior to that. And these are things my lawyer refused to bring in the courts, right? I went through several lawyers. They all lied to me. I have proof of all of them lying to me, and stealing their money, stealing my money. At the time of the arrests, I had called the police at Topanga Division, and I had reported Bailey Bernard following me home, assaulting me, battering me, putting his body up against the gate to my complex, stopping me from getting away from him, him knocking my keys out of my hand, battering me, and the only thing the cops cared about is if I touched Bailey Bernard. It didn't matter how many times Bailey Bernard assaulted and battered me. The police were only concerned that I had touched him with my father and Mike Huntley's "You're not allowed to defend yourself ever, and you're a dead man." After calling the police on Bailey Bernard, before he called, at one point, Detective Angela Stewart Detective Angela Stewart called me up asking if I wanted her to proceed with Bailey Bernard, and I said yes. Also a skinhead. Hold on, I'm rerouting my GPS. So Detective Angela Stewart in the Topanga Division, who, like everyone else and all the other detectives, could not care about any crimes being committed on me, Kevin Perlman, showing that they want me dead and gone. Like I said, called me up and said, Kevin, do you want me to proceed with the investigation on Bailey Bernard? I say yes. These people need to be stopped. She says, what did you say? I said, yes, these people need to be stopped. And she then proceeds to say bye-bye to me. Now, say bye-bye to me. Now, after this, they arrest me the next day. And at the same time, a guy tells me that I should leave the state to try to make it look like I'm on the run. Right? This is at a Starbucks, and it just closed down. Ventura Boulevard by Reseda. So, Detective Angela Stewart the whole time was paying off or working with these people to stalk me and attack me. Now, after she says bye-bye and arrests me, every single attorney or paralegal or secretary at every law office worldwide, almost everyone, after the conversations, all the lawyers or anyone working with the lawyers say bye-bye to me, signaling me or cryptically letting me know that we've been contacted by the LAPD to not defend you. Okay, now let me ask you a question. How many people do you know on this planet that if the cops arrest them and you contact defense attorneys to help you, right? And the defense attorneys say, I don't care how much money you pay me for these misdemeanors, I refuse to help you, is beyond any level of illegal known to man. Every single one of those attorneys that I spoke to every single one of those attorneys that I spoke with that said bye-bye, some of them for these misdemeanors, some of them tried to charge me $50,000, $60,000. Some of these restraining orders I tried to file, which everyone stopped me from, which I have tons of proof of that, recorded proof of clerks and sheriffs refusing to serve restraining order paperwork or giving me the paperwork to have served, all recorded. Should all be disbarred or fired. Okay, how many lawyers? There's a reason we have defense attorneys, and that's to defend you against the police. And if the police arrest you and the cops are crooked and they don't like you, so they're hunting you down, there is no reason why a defense attorney is going to say, I'm going to take your money and not help you because you're arrested, so I think you're a criminal. That defeats the entire purpose of the judicial system. And if that was the case, we would have no judicial system. And that has never before happened to anyone, where they just go from lawyer to lawyer, saying, I need a lawyer, I'm not going to help you, or I'm going to dick around with you and make you come out to meetings while we harass you and provoke you and try to get reactions while I'm trying to make you mentally ill, or steal your money and lose the cases intentionally, which was done to me by Seymour Amster. There is absolutely no reason at all that this would ever happen, but it's happening to me, which is spookier now, meaning that something beyond any level of criminal is going on a federal level to bury me, with the psychology community, who wants to cover up their crimes of destroying my life by throwing these false labels that I'm a violent paranoid schizo on me at 5 years old, and destroying 40 years now of my life. They don't want to be held accountable. hence why they threw these trumped up charges with jury tamper juries who all knew me, who were always going to put guilty charges, no matter how innocent I am, because this is worldwide, and most of the world knows that. So I've given you kind of a taste of the situation. The situation I will explain later when I get into my 40s, and right now I'm still really on my 16-year-old situations, but I kind of wanted to throw in right now what the psychology community is doing, so that the more you hear, the more you can understand the reasoning behind their crimes. So, to make a long story short, after contacting these attorneys, I hired multiple attorneys. I hired the first one who screwed me over, whose name was, he was from the Johnny Cochran firm, Richard, I can't remember his last name. It was Richard something. I'll look it up later on. Oh, Richard Barnwell from the Cochran firm, who was making up lies like they were trying to make it look like I'm paranoid schizo, and I think I'm O.J. Simpson, and I supposedly killed people. As I mentioned to you, they sent this Brody Morales guy after me to take me to strip clubs to try to get these coerced false confessions. Murder confessions. And so Richard Barnwell was spewing off lies like he had killed 60 people, not killed. He had represented 60 murder trials. Yeah, right. You know, I don't think any lawyer has represented 60 murder trials. He'd be like 400 years old. Just lie after lie. He didn't want to screw me over. They arrested me on false charges, saying after I went to court and they dropped the charges, for the first arrest, Richard Barnwell and the LAPD then arrested me later on, saying I had a warrant out for my arrest and didn't show up to court, things like that. Then I got a new lawyer, Seymour Amster, also working the bye-byes, and of course Seymour also intentionally lost the trial, working with the prosecutor, Corrine T. Phillips, also associated with psychiatrist Corrine Eschigan, with the original arrest in 2013. Now, why was I really arrested in 2013? Because I went to therapist Corrine Eschigan and started telling her about my life. That is why. And once I started telling her things about my father putting shock collars on our dog Rhoda and my father's abuse to me, that's when she really got nasty, working with the LAPD on these setup operations and arrests, ramping them up. Them also using Corrine T. Phillips, using their people with the same names who they hired from Pasadena, who changed her life for the sole purpose to move out here and hunt me, which I have endless proof of, in 2017, you name it. Anyways, back to Seymour and my trial. Some of the things Seymour did. 2 weeks before Dinsey was going to take the stand, he gives me a ticket for 1.5 inches in the red on a parking ticket. Well, we all know police officers in black and white cars generally don't play the role of parking meter maids. To give people tickets of being 1.5 inches in the red. 2 weeks before he's piled on all these fake misdemeanor charges, because that shows that the cop is obsessed with stalking someone, right? I'm not going to say it's illegal, but it shows reasonable doubt in a trial that this cop is corrupt. Well, I gave my lawyer, Seymour Amster, these tickets. He refused to bring them to court. He refused to submit them as evidence. Other things, when I took the stand, which my lawyer should have told me not to take the stand, but he wanted me to go up on the stand to try to make me look crazy. I shouldn't have taken his advice, but I was constantly under attack with hundreds to thousands of people per day. And one of the things he told me on the phone was he was going to ask me what happened. And when he took me into the back room with Steve Freeman, another lawyer they sent after me to stop me from talking, and found out I was going to talk about the leading up events, showing that I was told by the automotive person at the auto shop that Sean Dinsey was hunting me and contacting people to go after me, which he could have been called as a witness, showing that I'm being hunted by the LAPD. He refused to do it, and he started in on his examination, his cross-examination with me, with what happened when you went to the door of your house on the day of the arrest, refusing to bring in all the circumstantial evidence or evidence showing that the cops are hunting me. He also refused to bring in all the evidence on the first arrest and the first case, that they illegally came on my property, without warrants and things like this, right? All the illegal things. He would not bring in anything showing all the illegal operations, which is the bulk of the case. Also, things Seymour Amster, the prosecutor, and the judge did was provide absolutely no time to prepare for trial. So, for example, I had some private investigators at policeabuse.com who could have come up and testified that they witnessed all this police misconduct and this police stalking with citizens involved, and they gave me one single day to prepare for trial, or one day for me and my attorney to prepare for trial, which my attorney, when I told him we need to prepare for trial, he kept lying to me, saying, no, I have what I need and things like this, leaving out anything important, right? Not only that, my attorney refused to show the jury any evidence in the trial, while the prosecutor would show the photos to the jury. My lawyer would not, telling me that he was going to show it after in closing argument, which he did not. You name it. The jury was working with the bailiff, and in the trial, multiple people at once were trying to make it look like I was giving them cards, business cards, things like that, right? The judge's sentence for tiny misdemeanors were actually 3 years in jail, or 3 months in jail on misdemeanor charges, which normally you would say these are all tiny little fines, right? Even if I was to be guilty, right? You get the idea that these operations are to thug me quiet and drag my name through the mud because they don't want to be sued for their crimes, hence convicting me of these false charges with jury tampered, paid off jury members and things like that, right? Paying off lawyers to not help me, you name it. Maybe, who knows whether they're promising lawyers more work and kickbacks, who knows, but whatever they're saying and doing, the lawyers are coming after me instead of being honest. So now they finally get their convictions, and now they want therapy, right? That's their thing. They want me to go see therapists to get help, but they damn well know I'm not crazy, okay, keep this in mind. You can't arrest someone because they're crazy. You can only arrest someone because they committed crimes or are violent. Hence why they were so desperate to falsify their discovery, police investigations, despite the 17 years of coming in, saying, look, these people are hunting me down, will you please help me? They refused to help. And right after these arrests, on my website, I wanted to prove a point, so I went all across California to police station after police station, and first I went down to like a local Starbucks or coffee shop, and I got proof of the crimes happening to me in each and every location local to the police. Then I also brought video and paperwork with my website of the mass crimes of mass people mobbing me to torture and kill me, right? And so, or remove me from society. Each and every location, police station, all across California, they knew who I was. They would belittle me, badmouth me, use their little cryptic terror tactics. No matter how much proof I would give them, they would not look at it. They would not take 1 second to look at. Then I would say, have a detective contact me. No, we will not. They tried to play games. Well, because the crime, we will not. They tried to play games. Well, because the crime happened in Woodland Hills, you need to report it to Woodland Hills. So that's why I went out to coffee shop locations within blocks of the police station. They still would not look at it. The more police stations I went to, the more aggressive they got, trying to make me look crazy. For example, if you go down to San Diego and you report a crime, and they won't help you. So then you drive down to Temecula, a completely different jurisdiction, right? And you report the crime, and San Diego contacts Temecula saying, don't help this person. You know something highly illegal is going on. You know something highly illegal is going on, because why would they exert all the energy to contact every police department all across the world and say, don't help this person, when normally you would walk into the police station, they would say, well, I'm not going to help you, and then you go somewhere else and you deal with someone who's unjaded, right? Well, because person after person is being contacted and police stations worldwide don't help this person, that has all been proven and documented, that each and every station I went to, with local crimes being committed against me, on video, photographed, they refused to help me, and in their conversations, a lot of them state things, blatant lies, that it's okay for mass groups to get together, torture you, and kill you, right? Well, I can assure you, it is attempted murder, or murder has nothing to do with someone physically touching you. Therefore, they lied to my face, all proven, that they flat out told me that they're going to kill me and they're going to help, right? Trying to say, well, and some of these police officers flat out told me things, it's okay for mass groups to get together and torture you to death, provided they don't touch you. Well, that is the definition of a crime or murder, has nothing to do with physical contact. It has to do with things like premeditation, motive, and execution, and it has nothing to do with physically touching someone. For example, if someone puts poison in your drink, they didn't physically touch you, right? Okay, so the point is that killing someone, whether it's based on gaslighting and torturing someone to death until their nervous system gives out or something bad happens, versus shooting someone, are the same exact thing. And law flat out states that if there's premeditation, execution, and motive, then a crime exists. But all the police officers are trying to play stupid to get away with hunting me down and removing me from society. And that has all been flat out proven all across California. In different counties, in different jurisdictions, you name it. So, that being said, you get the idea how corrupt the police are and what is going on and being done to my life, showing that these are criminal operations with the police, government, feds, NSA, FBI to hunt me down, stalk me, and remove me from society, and then trying to turn around that I'm supposedly have a personal vendetta against the police. Well, that is not true either. I'm trying to live my life, and I turned 29, and I notice I'm being hunted with the police, Mike Huntley, using billions of government dollars and every resource known to man to hunt me down and exterminate me. And generally, people do not like being hunted and killed or put in jail cells or mental institutions, especially when they're a really good person. Hence their 40-year personal vendetta to exterminate me for whatever reason. Some of the lawyers, Seymour Amster, tried to spew that out to me. Richard Barnwell tried to spew that crap out to me. But remember, it's not a lawyer's job to listen to what a corrupt cop tells them. The lawyer's job is to defend their client. And if you pay shitloads of money to a lawyer, he's supposed to do his job or he gets disbarred. A lawyer's obligation is to do his job to the best of his ability, and that is what the bar states. Not take someone's money, hunt them down. And one of the things my lawyer tried to say to me is, well, you paid me and I didn't want to help you. Well, if I paid my lawyer, if I paid Seymour money and he didn't want to help me, that's not my fault. He took the money. He took the money. He made a contractual agreement that he has to uphold with the Bar Association, and he intentionally lost the case to force me into to be around the very psychologists who all got together saying this guy can't talk about what we did to his life, right? That's the biggest problem out of all of it, is that it starts with my family with their psychology degrees, then goes to the psychology community that they want to remove me from society based on my family's psychotic demented control issues. Remember, a father who puts a shock collar on his dog to communicate with the dog with a psychology degree now wants to shock his son to death by psychological shocks, so to speak, who is involved with the entire psychology community saying, don't let my son tell anyone. They now want me to go back to those people. Do you understand? Like, let me give you an example. Or let me break it down, what I've said, into a short version. In 2013, I call up therapist Kareen Esch again. She doesn't want me talking. Hold on. Okay, so 2013, I call up therapist Kareen Esch again after watching 13 years of worldwide murder operations to kill me to talk about what's going on. Kareen Esch again in the psychology community does not want me ratting, snitching. Trust me, I got tons of death threats of people working with the psychology community and the police saying things like, you're a snitch, you're dead, no relaxing for you, nigger, you better learn to accept what we're doing to your life or it's going to get a lot worse. All sorts of death threats like this that I have to accept being hunted and killed. That's when these arrests with Topanga Division LAPD start, after seeing Korean Eshigan to tell her about my life. You're a snitch, you're a rat, we're gonna hunt you and kill you, you don't tell anyone. Okay, now 2017, I'm arrested, and now it's we want you to go see therapists to get help. Wait, so how does one get help from a group of people saying we're gonna put false labels on you that change every week? You have nervous problems, you have anxiety problems, you're too sensitive, you're paranoid, then it switches to your paranoid schizo, then it switches to your violent paranoid, then it switches to you have split personality issues, then it switches to you have abandonment issues, right? All of these things the psychology community keep changing from one thing to the other while attacking me and trying to make me look like I'm crazy and mentally ill with their gang stalking, gaslighting tactics with mass groups. Okay, so now the judicial system is saying we've now convicted you with these false crimes or these false accusations, and now you have to go see the very people which are trying to put you in jail cells and mental institutions to get help, which are the entire reason why you're being hunted in the first place, because they're protecting people like Anita Perlman with her art therapy degree, who did her unethical mind rapes to me at a very young age, trying to unethically get me to draw a tree to analyze, to justify hunting me and stalking me with I supposedly played mind games with her because she didn't like the tree she got, right? Then hunting me down with worldwide groups with the psychology community. Or my father, the same thing. He also is an orthopedic surgeon with a psychology degree, using that degree to hurt, harm, maim, torture, kill. And so they're interlinked with the entire psychology community, right? So now, after intentionally convicting me, now I have to go see these therapists who are working with the police to try to set me up and make me look crazy still, trying to make things a lot worse for me and keep ratcheting down more and more until they can try to get those reactions to remove me from society, right? Okay, so you get the idea. It's just a constant, we're just going to keep hunting you down in such a way to make it look like you're crazy and violent and remove you from society, right? So that's basically what is going on with the judicial system working with the psychology community, and not only that, but the judicial system pretending that the psychology community is more important than the judicial system, right? If you don't understand what I'm talking about, what I'm saying is, normally, law comes first. That is priority. So, for example, if you have a corrupt psychologist, they're arrested for being a quack or fraud, right? Not the other way around. The psychology community doesn't dictate whether people stay in society or not. Crimes do. And so the only reason someone generally goes to a psychologist is if they want to call them up and get help. Psychology community doesn't follow you around saying, I think you have OCD, therefore we demand you come to us. That's not how it works, right? And then the police don't say, well, because we think you're crazy, we can arrest you and send you to a psychologist because you didn't do anything wrong. And like I said before, whether you have OCD, whether you're crazy, whether you're sane, whether you're a fun-loving, expressive, artistic person, which someone doesn't understand, and says, I think that person's crazy, the police have zero ground to arrest you or try to lock you away. The only grounds the police have to lock you away is if you committed a crime. And so what the police and the psychology community are trying to do is say, look, this guy's crazy and he's acting out in anger and rage, and therefore he needs help, and we've arrested him with all these false convictions to try to force and blackmail him into being the perfect robotic person that my family and the paid off police want. Example, I don't want you to be an artist. I don't want you to be a musician. I don't want you to be an actor. I want you to be an orthopedic surgeon like your father. And if you're not an orthopedic surgeon like your father, hold on, I'm not sure if this is recording. I think it is, but I'm not sure. If you want to be an if you don't want to be an orthopedic surgeon like your father, then you're crazy, and we're going to lock you away in jail cells, mental institutions, arrest you, have mass groups attack you, saying you're crazy. Yeah, it is. Things like that, to thug, torture, kill you, rid you of the world for being different. Okay, remember, even if someone did have OCD, or some quirky thing that made them different or thought differently, then that's not a crime, right? So for a family and the police to say, well, you think differently, so you're crazy and we're going to remove you from society because you got into 3D animation and visual effects and studio photography and created artwork, well, that's insane. That's not how it works normally, right? Normally what the police would do is say, your family's hunting you down with the you're different crime, and so that's a crime, to stalk and hunt and try to kill someone for being different. That's the same thing as saying you're black or Asian or Persian, so we're gonna hunt you down. It's the same exact thought process. Okay, so so that's what this entire thing at the moment seems to be about, is that we're trying to make you look crazy because you're different than us. But why is it really happening? Well, you know, that could be debated because it starts at 5 years old, and people generally don't stalk 5-year-olds, right, with your violent paranoid schizo. To sum it up, these arrests start with seeing a therapist who obviously is connected to my family with their therapy degrees, and they don't want me talking, okay? Hence with the death threats, you're a snitch, you're dead, we're gonna kill you, things like this. And if anyone knows what everyone knows what the term snitch means, but snitch doesn't generally apply to, hey, you turned 29, found out there's a worldwide campaign to kill you, so you spoke out about it, how dare you, you're ruining our lives. Snitch normally applies to, like, hey, this guy's a Colombian drug lord and you're his partner, and you decided to go to the FBI and rat out your partner or whatever. Doesn't generally apply to, hey, this guy's a good, decent, tax-paying citizen who has his own company, which is an internet host provider, providing job opportunities and services to the world to help them do something with their lives, and everyone making money and stemming capitalism. Generally doesn't apply to the term snitch or you're a rat, right? Those are like mafia or mobster type terms. Okay, and I can assure you that Kevin Perlman, who went to Southern Oregon State College, University of Colorado, worked for Universal Studios with 3D animation, worked at Modern Video Film with 3D animation, had my own company, internet host provider, for 6 years, did IT for 14 years while watching my father pay off Lorena Escobar to have me killed. You name it, does not fit the criteria of mobster mafia. He fits the idea of a capitalist, open-minded thinker, providing good, positive things for society. Hence the entire situation with cover-up operations. So, I have to drop off a package really quick, and I'm out in Westwood, and and as far as my family and the psychology community's theories that Kevin is also an agoraphobic, because my family with the psychology community is telling me that I'm a violent paranoid schizo who is not allowed to leave his house, who indirectly I was told that by a therapist named Christina Vescovo, who I've been seeing lately, working with the police and trying to cover up these operations. But she didn't directly put it that way. The way she worded it was, I just happened to have a client who turned into a violent paranoid schizo at 29, and she wrote a book that nobody read, and nobody's allowed, and she's not allowed to leave her house because she's a violent paranoid schizo, or because she's a paranoid schizo. And my response was, well, if someone actually is labeled a paranoid schizo, they are allowed to leave their house. They have the constitutional rights and protections to leave their house, and the only reason someone would not be allowed to leave their house is if they committed a crime which has nothing to do with mental illness, and had like an ankle bracelet under house arrest, right? So her words didn't make any sense, but she was trying to... Oh, and by the way, coincidentally, that's when I found out I was being stalked and hunted by the psychology community, was at 29 years old. So you understand that she's sort of giving me these little cryptic threat messages that this is what we're doing to you, but then it's, I never said that to you, right? You understand? Anyways, so here I am in beautiful Westwood. The weather's beautiful. I got the top down. Remember, one of my family with the psychology community's accusations is that between all those other, like, 15 things I listed off, that I'm also an agoraphobic, but yet here I am, and I'm sure I'll be harassed by tons of people trying to make me look like an agoraphobic out here in Westwood, which I don't live and am rarely at, proving my point that everywhere I go, people know me and they take turns with an agenda. But I'm going to stop this or pause this, and I'll be right back, and I will continue our conversation. Or my conversation, sorry. Okay, so I wanted to talk. Well, first I got another Slurpee, and to give you an idea of how my family, the psychology community, works, I've gotten like 2 Slurpees in like a week. I'm just guesstimating the time. Let's say 6 days, 7 days, 9 days, I'm not sure. But approximately a week, 2 Slurpees. My family would tell you that because I got 2 Slurpees in a week, I'm out of control, I have OCD, I have no self-control, and I'm a danger to myself. That's what they would tell you. And my family worked that same angle when I started working out at 14 and getting really buff and healthy and felt really good. And they got angry. They got angry that I would go out and runs or jogs. They got angry that I would sign up to gyms and work out. And after I mentioned in the last segment how Mike Huntley wanted me to sign up to the gym at the age, it was about 25 or something when I moved back to California, because Mike Huntley wanted to start Signet with me, the internet host provider. I talked about the whole scam, how he wanted me to sign up to Gold's Gym or World's Gym by my house, where he could manipulate me into meeting the gym manager, Rody Morales, who was sent after me by the LAPD to try to get murder confessions that I had killed someone, and then telling the world that I'm crazy, and I think I'm O.J. Simpson. Obviously, these personalities that they accuse me of being keep changing. They also accuse me of being like Michael Jackson. They accuse me, or not being like, but thinking. They accuse me of me thinking I'm Michael Jackson. They accuse me of me thinking I'm Mike Tyson. They accuse me of me thinking I'm O.J. Simpson. I'm a danger to myself or others. Whatever. I talked about that in my last segment. They're just saying what they need to say to get what they want. And by the way, I'm looking for food because I'm starving. So if I sort of am, by the way, I'm looking for food because I'm starving. So if I sort of am focused on trying to talk and look for a place to eat at the same time, I apologize. They're just gonna say what they want to say to get what they want. And what the hell was I talking about? I was talking about therapist Christina Vescovo. Oh, that's right. I was gonna say that my family, because after Mike Huntley got me back into working out, and I signed up to Golder World's gym by my house, which I talked about, the Victoria Walker frame jobs and her Victoria Walker frame jobs and her marrying Matt von Malachy, a German gym trainer at my gym, sent after me, or working with him to stalk me. All the things that were happening. I didn't really mention much about the specifics of the gym, all the things that were done to me. If you listen to my last segment, I talked about them taking me to Shotzi's, Victoria Walker, relating to Arnold Silber, my stepfather, originally showing me Shotzi's, trying to hint about my father with the police putting the bullet hole in his 300E Mercedes. After that, their argument to the world switched to, because I'm going to the gym 4 times a week, I have OCD, I have no self-control, and it's unhealthy for me to keep going to the gym like that. Well, that is absurd. Now remember, these things aren't said to me, they're hinted, like, you keep going to the gym, right? Trying to prove some kind of mental illness by going to a gym 4 days a week is beyond any level of absurd known to man, right? Now, first of all, just let's do the math on this one accusation. I have OCD for going to the gym 4 times a week. Well, most of the people I knew at the gym went like 6 or 7 days a week, and half those people were like hardcore buff, super buff either trainers or people in contests, you know, those weightlifting or Mr. Olympia contest type people. And let me tell you, and the people that worked there were like, you know, you don't have to be huge. And I'm looking at these people like, first of all, I'm not huge, right? Second of all, I go 4 days a week, right? But the most obvious is when the guys that go to the gym 7 days a week tell you that you go too much, that you go to the gym too much because you go 4 days a week and you have OCD. You know something freaky's going on, right? Anyways, I've never in my life heard of an argument that it is unhealthy to go to a gym or work out too much. And that is actually coming from Arnold Silber, my stepfather, and my mother, that because I was healthy, at 14, ran and jogged a lot and lifted weights on and off my entire life, that I have a problem. Okay? Now, that in itself is beyond any level of crazy. To say, by you going to the gym, working out, you have OCD and you're crazy. That's like saying you eat too much vitamins or wheat bread, or vegans are all crazy because they, I don't know, I can't even think of a stupid enough argument because it's so absurd. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, that's like saying you eat 3 meals a day and you keep eating and you won't stop, so you're crazy. Right? There you go. That's on the same wavelength. Right? Anyways, so let's talk about my current therapist, Christina Vescovo. First session, because I want you to understand how the psychology community is trying to set me up to look like a violent paranoid schizo. So first, Christina Vescova is just like a basic therapist. She's no one special. But remember, all these people are just low-laced with God complexes anyways. I mean, first, let me break it down. Let me break down the psychology community for you. You have the lower people that have basic degrees, and all they really do is just want to talk to you and maybe give you some advice, right? So, you have the people that do psychoanalysis. You have the therapists that just want to let you talk. And these people are all pretty much the same. You know, they dabble in their areas, but they're really just, you know, people trying to feel important. For example, you got some people, they were born with money, they went to college, they took their psychology classes, they got a master in psychology, they worked with some people in the psychology community, and then they think they're really special and they think they're God. Some people in the psychology community, and then they think they're really special and they think they're God, right? Now, what do they really do? Well, you really just go to a psychologist and you talk about your life and you unload and you vent. And really, it is rare that a psychologist even gives you any advice, right? So really, they're just someone you pay to listen. Okay, now, then you have the psychiatrists. Now, these are obviously people that went to med school and they're allowed to prescribe you medication, right? Now, most of these people are just glorified drug dealers. I mean, I've been to enough of them, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing to begin with. And they go, you know, do you feel like you have anxiety and this and that? Okay, well, try this medication. No, that didn't work. Now try this medication. No, that didn't work. Now try this medication. No, that didn't work. Now try this medication. Right? And so what they're really doing is making their like $300 per hour or half an hour to sell you some stupid drugs they just prescribed to you from the pharmacy, right? Okay, well, that's pretty pathetic. Now, there are some rare cases where psychiatrists actually do psychoanalysis, but, you know, I don't know. You know, most of them, I think, just want to feel important, and maybe some of them start off wanting to help people. Maybe some of them start off wanting to help people, but a lot of them get dangerous. And the one thing I've noticed is that they try to leverage themselves over you to censor what you say by saying, you know, if you say this or that, I can report you to the police and blah, blah, blah. So then you're like, you know, do I want to tell you about my life if you're ready to report me to the police because you don't like me, right? That's sort of my situation, right? Now, let's go back and look at my mother. She has a psychology degree and she's a therapist, and she asks people to draw art, and then she tries to analyze it, and she thinks that she can somehow size you up from a inanimate object. Does that make sense? Draw me a tree. Well, what does she think that by me drawing her a tree, what answer is she going to get to anything, right? The tree's happy. Oh, gee, you're a happy person. The tree's sad. You're a sad person. Well, that's not the way life works. When Wes Craven's writing his screenplays, or all those horror people are writing their screenplays, or Hollywood writers are writing mobster movie scripts, does that determine if they're happy or sad people based on the content of their movie script, right? And that applies to anything. Any person in art class, whether their art is happy or sad or abstract, right? So what the fuck is a tree gonna tell anyone? Well, you know, I'm joking around with my mom and I didn't give her the tree she wanted, and it had like a witch or a skull in it and some dead leaves. Well, what does that say about you? Well, that's like any piece of art. That is open to the viewer to come up with what they believe. Whoa. Where am I? Welcome to UCLA, parking. That is open to interpretation. Artwork The perception of artwork is open to the viewer's interpretation and has nothing to do with the actual artwork itself or the person. Does that make sense? So whether I want to draw some scene out of a horror movie or something fantasy, a dragon biting off someone's head or something, that has nothing to do with who I am, other than me trying to create something artistic for artistic expression and for something enjoyable for the viewer to view, right? So what the fuck is art therapy anyways? It's a joke, but you get the idea. So what is my mother, and I'm totally bad-mouthing my mother, but she put me in this situation, and it's that it's dangerous for her to see my artwork, or probably anyone's artwork, right? Now we can question what happened to her that she doesn't like artists, because that's the real question, right? Why does someone spend their life going through other people's art and then hunting them down is the real question, not my artwork. You didn't like my artwork. So anyways, my artwork. You didn't like my artwork. So anyways, Christina Vescovo, I mentioned before, so now you understand. She's just a basic therapist, and what she's trying to do is take turns in an angry rage with the police, provoking me, setting me up, paranoid schizo tactics, playing her game like she does with everyone else. I don't know you, I've never seen you before, well, hinting about this aspect of my life and that aspect of my life, which is Brian Longbottom's spy game tactic, where he had me work on the show Spy Game while trying to flip me into a paranoid state. And so what is she doing? She's some lowly level therapist who is some spoiled brat, and she took some psychology classes. She is a bigoted racist, and so here she is. She sees Kevin Perlman. I'm going to help rid this guy of the world. We're going to put these false labels on him. So now all of my visits involve her trying to agitate me, right? That's her job. That's her motive. Now, what are they doing? She's working with a psychologist named Deborah Baer, pretending that she's on my side to help me through the Olive Institute, some Jewish community that supposedly helps people that were arrested that are Jewish. And it's kind of like, well, what the fuck? Is that some con or scam, right? That doesn't even make any sense. But because you're being boxed in a corner, and it's based on self-fulfilling self-preservation of man, man wanting to survive and stay alive while being hunted, I sort of got to do what I'm forced into, but I'm sure as shit not going to be quiet about the things being done to me, right? So what is she doing? Well, they're playing, all of them are kind of playing both sides of the fence. We're here to help you, but you're not, but you do what we say, right? And the entire operation is manipulation. So Christina is doing these little terror operations with the community to try to get reactions, which she can't get. And she's trying to make me think I'm a bad person and crazy and violent, paranoid, schizo, and this and that lives in a fantasy world and conforms to movies. The same shit that was started on me at 5 years old. And then, obviously, it's not going to work out. Why? Because she's lied to me, right? Now remember, when it comes to psychology, it's about trust, right? You meet someone, you gotta trust them, you gotta talk about your life and try to fix what's wrong with your life. That's the concept of psychology, right? And they're supposed to have a certain set of tools that can help you adjust or fix the problem or whatever. Okay, so you go to a therapist and she lies to your face. I don't know you. And you do what we say. And you're this, and you're that. But she does know you. She knows who you are. She knows the situation. Okay, well, if you're in a situation where you have a family with worldwide support, NSA, FBI, You have like 1,000 videos of proof. You have endless death threats on video. And she lies to you like all the rest. She says, I don't know you. We got a bum looking at me while he's crossing the street on a red. Okay, so if she says I don't know you, and we all know she does because I'm known worldwide. I'm 10 times more known than Donald Trump. That's impossible. She either lives in a cave and can't help me, or is a liar. Okay? So now we're back to the trust issue, right? I'm going to someone for trust that I need to trust to talk about my life, to fix my life, but I can't fix my life because she's lied to me about something so important, especially with the police and psychology community hunting me down to remove me from society. Okay? So that trust cannot happen with that lie. Not just with the psychology community, anyone. Right? Now this is a situation that they created. I didn't community, anyone. Right? Now this is a situation that they created. I didn't create this. They created it. And they're stuck in their hole. Okay, so because the psychology community destroyed my life on a global planet scale, they need to cover it up. There are only two options here. They cover up what they've done to my life, which is a major crime, and possibly killing me or incarcerating me for life, putting me in jail cells or mental institutions because they don't want me talking and they don't want to be exposed. Or the alternative, because of what they've done to my life, they tell the truth, right? But they're not going to tell the truth because they've committed an unprecedented crime done to one man in the history of humanity. Bigger than the Holocaust, bigger than slavery. Although it's one person, they got worldwide murder operations from 100,000 to 1 million attacks per day worldwide. I've watched for 17 years, and these things have been escalating since 5 years old with billions of government dollars, right? So think about the magnitude of that crime. Even though it's against one person, the amount of torture being inflicted on that one person is beyond any level of pain known to man on a psychological level to torture and kill someone. Okay, nobody's ever seen anything like this. So they can't have it coming out in the open. And the more I find out no and talk, the more they want me dead. Hence, going to the original psychologist or psychiatrist at 29 and watching them threaten my life and things like that, I better not say anything. It wasn't that direct, and I'll go into that later when I get to it. So my point is that now what they're doing is playing good therapist, bad therapist. So I find this one therapist, but I've contacted thousands, literally thousands and thousands of therapists. Nobody wants to be honest, and nobody to resolve the situation. Well, like I said before, if nobody's going to be honest, the situation can't be resolved unless someone's trying to blackmail me into living a lie and sitting there living the rest of my life like the movie 1984, pretending what hasn't and is happening never happened. And that's insane. That's like saying you had 10 people rape you per day for 10 years, and now I'm going to tell you, you forget about it and never tell anyone. Yeah, right. That's not going to happen, right? So their cover-up is to say he's crazy, he's delusional, he's seeing things that aren't there, and we have to dose him up with medication and keep him in a drooling state so he doesn't talk, right? And if that doesn't happen, then we're going to lock him away in jail cells or mental institutions because he's crazy. But like I said before, it's not a crime to be crazy. So if I were to be crazy, why would the psychology or why would the police care unless they're aiding and abetting a mass crime? Okay. Now they have their cover-up lies that I'm a public nuisance and and I've done all these violent things that aren't true, and everything I've ever done in life, which is beyond any level of harmless, like Gandhi, which the worst thing I've done is hand out cards and people got mad because they didn't want the truth coming out. And that is it. They're going to make up whatever lie and throw whatever convictions on me they can. Right? Okay. So now you have Christina Vescovo, and she's playing this game. Like, I'll show her a video of me being threatened, and she'll say, well, you know, I don't want to see that. Let's not talk about that. You're imagining it. Well, wait. If I got proof that these things are being done to me, then why wouldn't you want to see the proof? Right? Doesn't make any sense. If I was a psychiatrist and the guy came in and he said, this is going to sound really crazy, but the cops are hunting me, and I have video of police death threats and video of death threats of people working with them, and videos of people with police trained canines attacking me, all on video, hospital reports. I have the same guy, something like 6 videos saying, you're a snitch, you better not talk, you're dead. No, I don't want to see that because you're imagining it. Yeah, right, bullshit. Okay, so what are they trying to do? They're trying to make your life impossible, right? They're trying to break you. They're trying to get angry reactions. And then, when you give up, we got, what's her name? Debbie Bear, sort of, I'm going to find people to help you, right? And they're all sort of working together, even though they're not directly related and they're not friends. They're working on the internet. So now Debbie Bear is introducing me to this guy named Daniel Paul, and ironically what they like to do is try to send me schizo messages about my childhood, hinting my brother's middle name is Daniel, who sent Paul Humphrey after me with my family, right? And while they'll never admit that that's why they're doing it, or the reason they're doing it is to try to make me question it and change my mindset and try to make me look like a paranoid schizo, doing the research on this guy, which he's playing this game like this guy's used to people with trauma, trying to turn this into trauma, right? It's not about trauma. It's about actively being hunted and putting a stop to the mass attacks. That's what it's about. So, while they're trying to make this look like an obsession thing, oh, well, something happened to you at 5 years old and you can't move on. Bullshit. It's not about a traumatic event. It's about current present events that they have mass people doing, and then they go, you're crazy because you can't live your life, but they don't stop attacking you. And of course at this point, if you were raped every day of your life for 10 years, even if it stopped, you would still want the world to know what happened, right? I mean, nobody's going to sit there and go, oh, you know, you were raped 100 times per day for 10 years. No harm, no foul, it's over with. Yeah, right, that's not the way it works. That's why we have, like, the Nuremberg trials, which, you know, the German Nazis are still held accountable for their crimes back in the 40s, right? Because a crime is a crime, and if the crime is so demented, like torture, attempted murder, especially if it goes on like 40 years, like for me, with 100,000 to 1 million people per day, that is not a forgettable crime against someone, right? Hence why they don't want me talking. Okay, so now she plays this game. This guy is better equipped this guy is better equipped to deal with your depression and your this, and you, of course, you explain to them, this isn't depression, this is people in an angry rage attacking me who don't want me talking about what they did, right? But of course they ignore that, and so, you know, I do a background check on this guy, and of course his profile states that he deals with people with schizophrenia. Well, here we are, back to where we started. A family at 5 years old labeling Kevin Perlman, me, as a violent paranoid schizo in order to control, dictate my life, or off me if I do something they don't like, right? And all these things are done to me, And now they have that leverage point where we have these convictions, and you go into this person and she's having the police show up trying to intimidate you, or she's working on the spy game or mimic tactics. She's taking me out to restaurants saying, well, you know, we'll talk about it at Cross Creek in Malibu, where I talked about the paparazzi frame jobs with Ryan Longbotham in my last segment. Her trying to hint about that to try to guilt me or make me look crazy or whatever their motive. And then you're imagining it, right? So now she's trying. What is she trying to do? She's trying to drive me, tire me out. I give up. I'll go see who you are sending me because nobody wants to help me, right? Now this guy's, like I said, this guy says his background is in schizophrenia, and we have a group of people trying to make me look like a violent paranoid schizo. Now, what do you think they're trying to do with the police and government? We keep lying to this guy. We keep trying to make the guy look crazy. We won't address the issue. We keep making up lies. You have trust issues. You have abandonment issues. You're agoraphobic, which are all results I don't want to say results, what they are doing creates the appearance of, if that makes sense. Let me give you an example. If I go to coffee shops and people are told to not harass me, then life is back to how it was before 29 and I'm out living my life. But if I go to coffee shops or anywhere else for that matter, restaurants, supermarkets, coffee shops, and people attack me with their passive-aggressive terror tactics in the present now, then it consumes my life from being provoked to death, creating the appearance of mental illness, right? Why is that happening? Well, it's happening to try to make me look crazy, to cover up their crimes, and the information I know that they don't want me ever talking about. Okay, so I don't know how the term goes, like driving the something to the whatever. So, but you get the idea. They're having this person tire me out with the rest of them and try to drive me to the therapist that says they know all about schizophrenia. And what do you think is going to happen? What do you think this Daniel Paul is gonna say? Whether he knows me or not, he's going to say the same thing. Oh, yeah, he exerts symptoms of schizophrenia. Okay, but that's the entire point. That is the entire motive behind gang stalking or gaslighting. To make someone look crazy, right? It's kind of like putting someone in a pickle in baseball. If you go, you can't get you're stuck in the middle, right? And so, you got this person, I'm gonna make you crazy with my stupidity, even though they know damn well what they're doing. And then you got this person who's gonna throw the labels on you, who's pretty much paid off to throw the labels on you, right? And no matter what happens, if he knows that you're innocent and not crazy, he's gonna throw the labels on you because he doesn't want you to rat on the corrupt aspect of the psychology community, which has done horrific things to me, which are unspeakable. And if he doesn't know me, which we all know he does, then he's going to say you exert the signs of schizophrenia. And that would all come out, or I should say, all come out, or I should say, the truth of the type of person he is would all come out at the point that I try to show him videos of me being stalked and his reaction to dumb it down, to look the other way, or to pretend it's no big deal, right? Oh, well, this happened, but that was a month ago, so blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's happened like 100,000 times across 17 years, right? Oh, that's not important. Yeah, it is important. That's the entire argument, is that I'm not crazy, that people are doing these things, right? But he's not going to say that. He's not going to admit that. I know it. You know it. Everyone knows. This guy is not going to be honest. After the amount of people I've talked to or visited or been, the amount of shrinks I've been to, the amount of shrinks I've talked to on the phone, they have, every single one has lied and been thugging, basically you don't talk type of personality. And I can assure you, this guy is not going to be honest when I walk in that room and say, yes, Kevin Perlman, I know you, I know who you are, and I know what's being done in your life, and I'm going to watch the endless videos and look at the endless proof you have. He's not going to do it, because he would have already gone to the police before ever meeting me and saying, you leave this fucking guy alone, just like everyone else in the psychology community, or police, or people in the public. But I wanted you to understand the dynamics. So they're trying to force me to people that look credible. They're not. They're quacks. But they look credible, and they're going to make up the lie. Why? What is the lie? It's a label they want to put on me for control. The same label my family tried putting on me at 5 years old. Unethically. Right? So, why do they want that? Because they want to cover up their crime. Like I've said, I probably said it 100 times, but I need to hammer it through everyone's head. They want to cover up their crimes. They will do anything to cover up their crimes, including killing me. Killing me, locking me away, you name it. And the one question I've been asked several times is, if the government wanted you dead, why don't they just kill me? Which is a fairly good, it is a fairly common sense-ish question. So, okay, the government screwed me over, they destroyed my life, right? Why don't they just have someone blow me away? Put a bullet in my head, right? It's a done deal, I don't say anything. Why don't they put poison in my food or something like that? And the answer is actually a lot simpler than you might think. Kevin Perlman turns 29, he finds out something's very wrong. Kevin starts talking. They tell me I don't talk or I'm dead. The more I find out, the more I talk. The more I talk, or just know, the more I find out, the more people show up trying to kill me. And the more I talk, the more people in the psychology industry with the police hunt me down to kill me. Psychology industry with the police hunt me down to kill me. But when they're hunting me down to kill me, they're not using traditional methods. Why? I will explain this. Guy turns 29, mass groups are stalking me. Lorraine Escobar's being paid off by Ron Perlman to stalk me. Mike Huntley was sent into my life at 14 to stalk me. Jason Perlman's doing all these things to stalk me. And it goes all the way down to 5 years old. Now, there's an argument. Kevin Perlman, at 29... Hold on, it's loud. Kevin Perlman at 29 went from perfectly normal, capitalistic, let's all make money, and I'm doing my 3D animation, working for companies at Universal Studios and Modern Video Film with working for companies at Universal Studios and Modern Video Film with college degrees, does a 180 with claims that he's being hunted and stalked by large groups of people. Correct? Now, someone shows up, they put a bullet in my head. Okay, what message does that give the world? Kevin turned 29, people are trying to make him look crazy. He ends up killed with a bullet in his head. All of a sudden, everything I said is true. Right? So they can't do that. So, their only recourse is to make me look crazy and try to get reactions to use against me. Kevin just magically at 29 developed depression and blew his brains out. Oh, he killed himself. There's no investigation. Right? Kevin suffers from general anxiety disorder, which is one of the latest lame labels from Christina Vescovo. Therefore, Kevin's nervous system gave out at 46 and he died. Oh, well, you know, he had psychological issues and he just died at 46. Kevin issues and he just died at 46. Kevin just magically flipped out and attacked some guy and randomly hit someone. Wait, did my brother put license plate frames? I swerve and hit people at random while people are trying to tell me that I'm hitting women over and over, which never happened, right? Oh, well, this guy's full of anger and rage, and I have one guy on video in my neighborhood trying to pretend like he's me, saying that when he gets mad he just hits people, trying to make me think I'm like him. Why? Because if they can put some label that Kevin's a violent, paranoid schizo that just randomly beats up and hits people for no reason, they can lock him away in jail or mental institutions, saying this guy's a violent, paranoid, 5150 schizo lunatic, right? Okay, so all of these things are the same. We constantly provoke this guy with worldwide support, with passive-aggressive terror tactics that never stop, hundreds of thousands to millions of times per day, until they can get the reactions they want to remove me from society as a cover-up operation to cover up their mass crime spree against me, which starts at 5 years old. So, that answers that simple question. Why not just blow my brains out? Right? Why not just put poison in my food? So now you kind of understand the dynamics of Christina Vescovo, which applies to everyone. Susan Donner. Let's talk about Susan Donner, because this gives you a good idea how my family's working with the psychology community. At 29 years old, I find out something's very wrong with my life. Met with Rody Morales, frame jobs and setup attempts, and then him going from I'm your friend to trying to get murder confessions. I met with Mike Huntley in the office telling me that we're using the system against you. I've given you enough rope to hang yourself with. You had better live a careful life, to find out that I could live 1,000,000% perfect life, and they're coming after me with every resource known to man. Mike Huntley walking around the office singing World of Paranoia over and over, letting me know that they're going to try to turn me into a paranoid schizophrenic. World of Paranoia over and over, letting me know that they're going to try to turn me into a paranoid schizophrenic, which linked back to 16 years old, as I mentioned before. My brother telling me that he and his friends are going to put me in a mental institution after I stopped him from bashing Greg Wall's head in with a crowbar, which actually starts at 5 years old for my family. Right? Now, when I sort of flipped out at 29 saying something's very wrong, my family was prepared with the police and government and psychology community to give the packaged answer that they want the world to believe. So, if you're not understanding what I'm saying, is this whole thing, up until 29, was planned to flip me out. You're living a normal life, you're going to college, you're thinking how most people think, you're focused on the things that most people are focused on, your drive and ambition is about starting companies and making money. For me it was 3D animation, visual effects, then it was internet hosting services, and then IT, computer networks after, right? Perfectly how everyone pretty much functions in society. And then all of a sudden, you find out people are screwing with your life, and the very people that you're friends with want you dead. And they're letting you know it, but they're letting you know it in such ways that you can't tell anyone. And when you go to tell people, you find out that the people you're talking to are on the sides of your friends hunting you down with the rest of the mass groups, right? So you can't tell anyone because they're all coming after you no matter what. And you tell the police and you find out the police are heavily involved, right? On unheard of freaky things. Now, eventually I start telling my mother what's going on, and she starts saying weird things that my past caught up with me and I had better leave the country. I don't exactly know what that means, except I think one is I think she blames me for her divorce at 13, which means she's a psychopath. And the second might be just some kind of power play to get me to move up to Vancouver with her, right? Like mommy wants her kid to be with her, and she'll stop at nothing to make that happen. Okay, I can't tell you what's going on in their heads. All I can do is tell you what I'm piecing together from their mass murder operations. Okay, so now you're noticing these things. Your friends want you dead. Your family wants you dead. You're going to the police. They want you dead. You're calling private investigators. You can tell that they know who you are, but they won't admit it, and they won't help you. They keep sabotaging everything that's going on and stealing your money. Still to this day, 17 years later, if I call a private investigator, they'll figure out ways to not help me. At this point, my mother tries to pretend like she wants to help me. So she says, here's a list of people I know in the psychology community. Call them to get help. Okay, and you're thinking, something weird's going on. I'm going to talk to someone about it, right? Now, the first person I talked to was a lady named Susan Donner, who was a psychiatrist and a murdering quack and a piece of shit. And obviously, because she was connected through my mother, right, word of mouth from my mother to her, you know that there was a connection. That she has ulterior motives to try to silence me. Okay, this was back when I was around 29. Okay? Now, I can remember being in this office while this person was digging for information, not to help me, but for things to use against me. And no matter how much I showed her that I was the sane one, they kept coming after me more and more. Right? Example. Sitting in this office, Susan Donner. Now remember, this is completely unethical, and these people should be instantly have their psychology license taken away. They do not deserve to be in psychology. They're criminals. They're murderers. She says, I try to tell her to let me explain the situation, and they all do the same thing, like Christina Vescovo, is they cut you off instantly before you can say anything, and they say you're crazy. They don't want to listen to one word. They just, you're crazy. Don't talk to me, you're crazy. I don't care. Well, I don't pay psychiatrists to not listen to what you're crazy. I don't care. Well, I don't pay psychiatrists to not listen to what I have to say and tell me I'm crazy and then hunt me down. I pay them to say, it doesn't matter if you're crazy or not, and I'm going to listen to what you have to say. That's why you pay a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Not to fuck you over and try to kill you. Okay. And this happens with each and every one. So Susan Donner says, I try to explain something and she stops me like all the other ones, and people. And I said, look, I said the devil's in the details. And she says, no, the term is the angel's in the details. And I say, no, it's not. It's the devil's in the details. Now remember all the weird religious freaky things I think I mentioned from that were done to me with Eric Christensen in college because they didn't like the Lord's gym shirt, so he wanted me to read the book Job by Robert Heinlein, where my father was framing me saying I stole $10,000 for building car engines, and Eric Christensen was getting all this information, and he was trying to get coerced false confessions that I tried to kill my brother with a knife, right? And so all these events are connected, and when I say, no, it's the devil's in the details, she says, no, it's the angel's in the details, to try to give me disinformation to make me look crazy. Now, but the problem is that Susan Donner got mad, extremely mad, when she realized that I could see through her bullshit and talk with common sense and logic and fact, and mention to her that no, it's not the devil in the details, or it's not the angels in the details, showing that I'm perfectly sane and putting her on the defensive because they have to cover up their murder operations. So after this, Susan Donner tells me that I'm harassing waitresses, right? Well, after she tells me that I'm harassing waitresses, where am I? I'm on Ocean Boulevard, and here's the beach. So I must be by Redondo or something. Anyways, so she tells me that I'm harassing waitresses, and then that opens up the next door of questions. I'm with a psychiatrist in a private room who supposedly knows nothing about me, telling me that I'm harassing waitresses. Now, I don't feel like expanding on the dynamics of that and Tom Farley's frame jobs and setup attempts at Yankee Doodles with waitresses, as well as many other women, but I will just say that Tom Farley for 30 years was involved in these setups to make it look like I was harassing women, just like all the other things that I was talking about in my other segments. Hence, the information from my mother, my father, Tom Farley, all false information, slander, defamation, libel, going from these people to the psychiatrists. Okay, well that's unethical. If I go to a psychiatrist, they're not allowed to sit there and start accusing me of shit because I can't talk to them about my life. And my mother and father and brother's big scam is that Kevin can't see himself. Kevin can't see himself, so that's why we're doing this. Okay? So, think about that. If I walk up to you and I say, you can't see yourself, so we have to do this and that, you have no defense. Correct? You can't see yourself, so anything you say is wrong. You have no defense. Right? You did this, you did that. No, I didn't. Well, you can't see yourself, you're wrong. So now we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Okay, well, these are the type of people I'm dealing with, right? You can't see yourself and we're going to hunt you down and kill you. Now, I don't want to talk too much about that. I want to talk about ethics, morals and ethics. Because anyone can make up a lie. Now the question is, how are they using this information and what are they doing and in what ways? Okay, well, each and every psychiatrist I've been to has been given this laundry list of lies that Brian Longbotham labels it a laundry list to clean me up, of bullshit, to give to the world, to turn them against me, and they're given this information, poisoning the well. Now, let's talk about morals and ethics. If you're a ethical and moral person who's a good, decent person, and someone approaches you giving you information like that, especially if your job description is to help people and you've taken oaths to help people who need help, and they come to you for help, and they say, I'm not going to help you, I'm going to rid you of the world and you don't talk, or we're going to kill you, or you can't see yourself, you do what I say, or we're going to kill you, or whatever, that is unethical. Oh. I just need to turn around.
Okay, go ahead.
Just this way right here?
Yes, uh-huh.
So, So right there, if you've gone to a therapist, they're given information, they say, I don't know you, they want their coerced false confession, they're not a good person, they're not moral, they're not ethical, they're criminals. They have no business being in psychology or anything else for that matter. So now you take it to the next level, you have a therapist accusing you of harassing waitresses at Yankee Doodles and other places, and I think I mentioned some of the waitress setups in Colorado, or the other women in my life like Corey Bixby at 16, just crying wolf for no reason. I harassed them, but it's because I farted wrong, right? And there's no argument. Okay, so here's the next thing. If you go to a therapist, they've been given information, you did this to this person, then they are obligated, if they've been given information about you, to discuss whether it's true or not, correct? Because, first of all, psychiatrists, or the psychology community, isn't generally a courtroom, and even in a courtroom, you're supposed to be allowed to tell both sides of the story. And as you've seen in my life, from everything I'm talking about, I wasn't allowed to get a fair trial with both sides of the story, and that was by design, by the government. Okay, so you're going to psychiatrists and psychologists. They think they're judges, but they're not just throwing judgments, they're throwing executions on you. Punishments and executions. So remember, there's a big difference between a judgment and a punishment or an execution. Do you understand what I'm saying? While people make judgments all day and night, they generally don't act on them. I don't like that person, I don't trust them. I don't like that person, I don't trust them, I'm going to kill them or rid them of the world, are two different things, right? I go out on a date with a girl, I don't like her, I made a judgment. I go on a date with a girl, I say I don't like her, we're going to get together and kill her, that's a crime. So the act after the judgment turns into a crime generally. And what's being done to me is, I go to a therapist, they're given the wells poisoned, instead of discussing the situation so that they can understand what's true, what's not, what happened, they instantly say you're a bad person, you're dead and gone. Okay, well, like I said before, a moral, ethical person is going to say, look, I was contacted by this person telling me all these things, and I'm going to explain the situation, and then they're going to understand the situation. Why? Because I'm paying them for help. If you're paying a psychiatrist or psychologist for help, they're supposed to be on your side because you're paying them money for a service. So, what does that mean if I pay you $200 a week to help me, and you're collecting information to use against me with the police? Well, fraud, quack, and criminal intent to rid some of the world. Correct? Do you think that that person should be in the psychology community, or a lawyer that does that? Be a lawyer, and that goes against all ethics. In the bar association, whatever it is, the APA, or whatever it is, the psychology community, it is beyond any level of illegal, and those people normally get fired instant, or get their licenses taken away instantly. Oh, I'm in Santa Monica, I think. No, I'm not in Santa Monica. Yeah, I'm in Santa Monica, on Colorado Street. Okay, so that's what happens when you drive randomly and talk. So you get the idea that what these people are doing are unprecedented. I mean, these crimes are a whole new level of criminal act. Sorry, I'm trying to... My little camera app, like, freaks out, and you have to try to reconnect, and sometimes it connects, and sometimes it doesn't, and this time, it's not happy. Okay, so, but you can understand how this is now snowballing to larger and larger circles of people in the psychology community, and the government and police trying to cover up their mass crime spree against me. That's what's going on, right? They don't want to admit to what they've done to my life, and so they would rather kill me or end my life over it, or lock me away for the crimes of me finding out what they're doing. Now, how does it start? Like I mentioned, it starts at 5 years old. My family throwing these labels on me in anger and rage. Reasons, I can't give you an actual reason because I'm not them, but I chalk it up as they're paranoid psychotics. And if you fart wrong, they hunt you down and kill you and rid you of the world. And for all I know, my mother's mad at me for not breastfeeding correctly or something that doesn't make any sense like that. I mean, you can't know that unless they tell you. But I watched my mother. I can't tell you if she was being honest or not, but like last month, I was on the phone with her and she was telling me my nephew, Graham, which is like 9 years old or something, it has picked his nose at a wrong age or something. He's too old to be picking his nose. And so she wants to put him in a mental institution or something, some conversation like that. And then she tells me that I don't love her. Right? She tells me that I don't love her. So you can kind of see the dynamics. Like, she's mad at me because she thinks that I don't love her, and then she hunts me down with worldwide support to kill me. You know, I can't tell you what's going on in her head, and I can't even tell you if she was being honest about Graham and her wanting to put him in a mental institution because some imperfection like she wants to do to me. But what I can tell you is she definitely told me that on the phone. And I do have proof of that. You get the idea is that when my family gets mad, they just try to exterminate you and then make you look like the bad guy. Okay, this camera is acting really weird, so I'm gonna stop it. Plus I need to regroup my thoughts here because I'm kind of sputtering on the same topic, and I should probably expand a little on something newer. So let me figure out what's wrong with this camera first. Okay, so my camera app was just freaking out, and so whatever, it took some rebooting and fixing. But let me just sum up this 2 hours of conversation in a few sentences without the details. But remember, the details are what make the point. They prove the facts, because if I just say it, you'll just go, if I just say it how it is, if you know who I am, well, if you're on their side, you're gonna say you're crazy and you're imagining it. If you're neutral, you're gonna say I don't know what you're talking about because I don't want to get involved. And I've yet to really see many people say that this is wrong and unacceptable, and that is what people need to say, just like people said with Martin Luther King, or with when Adolf Hitler decided he was going to exterminate all different races, trying to be the superior race, that this is fucking all different races trying to be the superior race, that this is fucking unacceptable. That is what people need to say, not I don't know you, you're imagining it, why is this happening? It's simple. Hunting down and exterminating and torturing someone for any reason, whether you have a psychology degree, a police uniform, or whatever, is unfucking acceptable. But let me just sum this up because the facts are so important. The little intricacies are so important so that there's no doubt that people can go, oh, that's crazy. Kid's born, 5 years old, family throws some labels for maybe control or because they just want to off him, have an abortion. Our son is violent paranoid schizo. Reasons of why you would have to ask them, none of them are going to be true. And probably the real reason when you're dealing with paranoid psychotics are you didn't breastfeed correctly, or there was a time when I was maybe 7 years old where my father told me that if I didn't eat the liver, I wasn't allowed to leave the dinner table. Hence me sitting at the dinner table for like hours in a stalemate because I didn't want to be forced to eat food I didn't want. And for all I know, my father snapped right then and said, let's kill him. I mean, I can't tell you because they're paranoid psychotics. And I'm a good, decent person who is fun-loving, warm, open-minded, and accept most people, provided I mesh with them and they aren't some negative person that I feel I can't benefit from, right? Like most people. And so this label is thrown on me. My family dedicates their life to trying to set me up and get reactions to use against me with the psychology community, telling the world that I'm a danger to myself or others as their lame, controlling excuse because they have their psychology degrees and they can get away with their crimes, right? So they're going to say what they need to say because they feel empowered to. Now, when you're dealing with your children, people usually believe the parents because they're older and they're your parents. So that makes sense. Hence, all those people in the schools, the school teachers contacted to try to set me up. People like Tom Farley, Paul Humphrey, all contacted and told to try to set me up. Once again, reasons to set me up. Well, if you're a good person, or if you actually are a violent, paranoid, schizo, or a reckless, out of control public nuisance, then you don't need to set that person up because they're going to do it on their own. Hence, me showing that my entire life I'm being set up by worldwide groups. Okay? So now we get older, we get to 29, we're living a perfectly normal life, we're doing the same thing everyone else is doing in the world, we're going to college, we're getting degrees, we're starting companies, we're working for companies, we're trying to make money and on the side fulfill the capitalistic dream of making lots of money and having a good thriving life with big houses and cars and friends and family and relationships. And bam, 29, there's Mike Huntley with the people that are surrounding me, all hunting me, stalking me, trying to set me up, frame me, who I find out for 25 years at that point I'm being hunted with every resource, the government, the psychology community, my family, known to man. And at the point at 29 that I find out, they don't want me talking with their labels that Kevin's crazy, Kevin snapped, blah, 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 all premeditated, all planned out from the beginning to gang stalk me, gaslight me, flip me into a state of what the fuck is going on. Oh, you asked a question that's out of the norm, therefore you're crazy, you need to be removed from society. Met with worldwide anger and rage that had always been going on, except ramped up because whenever I went to psychologists, I was met with all sorts of cryptic death threats that I better not talk, or people telling me that I better accept what's being done to my life. So one of them I went to on Ventura, I have her name written down, I can't remember, Natalie Craw, I think it was, on Victory and Canoga, told me that I better take medication or I will destroy my life. And what she meant by that wasn't anything about health, it was you better not fucking talk. And Susan Donner, as you saw, I proved to her that I wasn't crazy, and her reaction was, Kevin's harassing waitresses, working with Tom Farley, and for 10 years, people coming into all pool halls I went in worldwide, but especially Yankee Doodles, where she started with her accusations, having mass groups come in for 10 years every time I was there, probably multiple times per week for 10 years with mass mobbings. And that one place alone, which happens at every place worldwide, they had waitresses like Gina follow me to restaurants, Houston's with my father, trying to get me to talk to them so they could say I harassed them. They had a waitress from Yankee Doodle, Heather, follow me to Encino Starbucks pretending she worked at the shopping center and I was stalking her. And then always with the cover-up that Kevin's doing all these horrible things to me. And trust me, let me tell you that I have stranger after stranger I've never even talked to or don't even know making up the same accusations how I'm harassing them and won't leave them alone. How do you explain that one? Right? I mean, random people just keep coming out of the woodwork that I don't even know exist, saying I did all these horrible things to them. Okay, so now they realized after 17 years that I'm not going to shut up, that I will never shut up about what's been done in my life. I have been blackmailed and threatened from person to person. Food people delivering my food. I might hand them a card, and when they get the card, they break in anger and have people follow me and attack me because I handed them a card. What's the reasoning? They didn't have to take the card, right? They could say, I don't want your card. But instead, they took the card and had people show up attacking me with a message, you don't fucking talk, right? Okay. And this isn't one person, this is person after person, worldwide. I've been told I'm not allowed to go to any coffee shop worldwide, any restaurant worldwide, any supermarket worldwide, any shopping market worldwide, any store worldwide, with the latest Christina Vescovo basically hinting to me that I'm a paranoid schizo, so I'm not allowed to leave my house, which is illegal and unconstitutional because 90% of the people that actually do suffer from mental illness are harmless anyways. So there's no such thing as that. So why don't they ever want me leaving my house or talking to one stranger on the planet? What is the reason? Well, the reason is obvious. I'm going to start talking about my life, whether it's instant or in the long run. Example, if I meet some stranger and I play it cool and pretend that I don't know that they know me. Let's say I start dating a girl. Well, when you start dating a girl, she's going to ask you questions about your life, right? What's your family like? What was it like for you growing up? And you're going to answer the questions. And at the point, just like what's happening to me with like Daryl Oon in Colorado, which was a friend, or supposedly I thought he was a friend from Singapore, a fellow pool player, or people like that, at the point that I start getting to know people and they ask questions like, what was your life like, what happened to you, where do you come from, anything like that, what's your brother like, and I answer the question honestly, I will be met with mass groups attacking me, and the very person that asked me the question attacking me in rage because they don't want me talking. Well, imagine trying to date a girl who said, I don't know who you are, and then when you start telling them about your life that they don't want you talking about, they go ballistic on you and try to fucking end your existence or lock you away in jail or mental institutions. So what kind of person is that? Some paid off jailer, right? And I can guarantee that nobody's going to want some girl like Adriana Olivares to come in your life who's paid off to tell you that you better date them, you better marry them, you better have their kids, or they're going to kill you with your family, the police and government. They're not going to want that, right? No sane, rational person is going to tolerate that. But this isn't one person, this is worldwide groups. And since it's worldwide groups, people need to question the motive. What's the motive behind disseminating thousands of lies about someone to the world and telling them that they're not allowed to tell anyone that none of it's true? What's the motive? What's the reasoning? Well, it's not good. I mean, if someone walks up to me and says, you see that person over there? They've done these 100,000 different things and you need to follow them around and provoke them. I would look at that person and go, you're a psychopath, stay the fuck away from me, right? But that's not what's happening. Now, I can question some of the reasons as like maybe, example, like one of because I wouldn't date and marry Adriana Olivares, she went out telling everyone, and remember, my father and Lorena Escobar paid her to come in my life to dictate my life or kill me with them. But because Adriana, who's running around my father's office, saying, I'm going to get the doctor's son, and not meaning like a trophy, but like killing me, she didn't get her way. She started making up the lies that I'm somehow mobbing Mila, the stripper at Bare Elegance, because she's taking all my conversations out of context, like everyone else, and giving it out to the world. But the bottom line is that this was happening way before Adriana Olivares. It was just escalating from person to person, right? Each person since 5 years old that I've been in contact with sits there creating newer and newer lies and giving it out to the entire planet. But once again, like I said, the guy that everyone claims is a danger to himself or others, they're also saying he did this, he did that, he did the other thing. Every week it changes, and it goes out to the entire planet. Well, if propaganda about me is going out to the entire planet, and it is through, since 1994, since the government built these internet-based terror systems around me for, I guess, control or killing me for what I know, you get the idea these aren't trustable people. I mean, how do you walk up to someone and say, that guy's a monster, so we built terror murder networks around him, and you need to help us kill him? Doesn't really sound credible. Now, they're obviously not wording it like that. They're wording it like, that guy's crazy, and that guy's done all these things, and these are neighborhood watch groups, which is just some sugar-coated bullshit to make their murder operations look legit. And the mass groups are being told these lies from people with authority, so the people are believing the lies, because a lot of times when someone with a uniform walks up to you and says something, you instantly believe it. Like if a police officer walked up to me and said, that guy over there is involved in a crime, I would probably believe it off the surface. But once that police officer said, and Kevin, I want you to help me catch him, I would say, no way. I would say, I'm not a police officer, and don't try to turn me into a vigilante, because I'm not allowed to pretend I'm a police officer and take the law in my own hands. But yet all these people are being manipulated by the police and government, saying Kevin's a horrible monster. These people are being manipulated by the police and government, saying Kevin's a horrible monster who has done all these horrible things, so we want you to help us catch him. Meaning what? Meaning all these people are being used and tooled with the psychology community and police to commit mass crimes in the police's name. So think about, here's food for thought. The cops are telling these mass groups to hunt down and kill me, Kevin Perlman, and all these people are committing mass crimes in the name of the police, and the police are sitting back on their couches eating Cheetos, laughing their asses off at the very people they're tooling, saying kill Kevin. So if anyone should be mad, it should be the people, it should be you guys that are being used to get to me. The FBI, NSA, LAPD, and police worldwide, with these mass security guard companies, are making complete ass puppets out of all you guys, saying hunt down and kill this person because we don't like it, and all you guys are getting together helping kill me. And while I can understand how people that don't take the time in angry mobs to think about what's really going on. Think about it, and they get caught up in that bullshit based on drama, gossip. But remember, this isn't drama or gossip. These are like informants with agendas, and it's a strategic hunt to kill me. So, the people involved, A, have already been involved and committed the crime, and they don't want to admit what they're involved in, which they're going to have to come to terms with. Feel stupid, possibly, because they're being completely used, but they're going to have to come to terms with it. And you guys, the ones that are being used, should really be pissed off at the police for tooling you and turning you into a criminal. That's the bottom line. Whether the police say I'm a bad person or not is none of your business, other than an opinion. But after that judgment, if you take the law, if you take action, if you try to sentence me or punish me, then you're taking the law in your own hands. But I don't really know many people that actually are that gullible, but yet it's happening. It is happening, and you're going to have to come to terms with what they did to you and start asking the important questions of them. What's really going on? Do you have factual evidence? Do you have proof? Why did you start in on Kevin at 5 years old? Why won't you let Kevin tell his side of the story? Why is every single thing that happens to Kevin involve tainted, no-win situations? Whether it's a courtroom, it's jury tampered, paid off jurors. The cops are all paid off to write up fabricated reports. His family is still hunting him down 2 years after he was fired from his company because my father got mad for multiple reasons. One was I wouldn't take down the website because this went way the fuck too far. The other is I wouldn't be around him because I realized that this was coming from him and he's dangerous. And he's the reason I've been hunted my entire life for extermination. It starts with my family, and once my father realized that it was just business at that point, he hired me to do a job. I did a great job. The entire time, him trying to kill me with his mass employees on every single way, shape, and form known to man, which I have written down documentation this long of blogs I never even got to finish. They were so damn long, of endless terror, setup, frame jobs, torture operations, where Lorena Escobar was paid off to have me killed with mass groups of people, paying off mass groups of people, you name it, all working with the paid off Sean Dinsey and LAPD to hunt me down, kill me, try to cover up these operations and make it look like I suffer from abandonment issues. Some of the latest tactics from Christina Vescovo is she's trying to say that I'm involved in child and elder abuse, right? This was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Christina Vescovo is now claiming the newest tactic that this is all about me supposedly involved in child abuse and elder abuse, and what she's trying to hint is that because my father, when he knew after I found out that there was a worldwide campaign to kill me and I couldn't process what was going on around maybe 2005, my father told Lorena Escobar to hire me at his office, Golden State Sports Medical, to do the IT, and I did an excellent job. I rebuilt all his server. I mean, when I walked in there, it was in this ancient NT40 system, and all the desktops had Windows 98. And I went in, I turned it into a virtual environment with VMware. I built 13 modular servers, Linux mail server, Active Directory, name servers, 3 name servers, their progressive server, which handled their SQL database, and their main CalMed software, which is a piece of shit. What else? We had our real-time backup synchronization servers. I can't remember. There were about 12 or 13 modular servers, and I built the servers all within VMware in one machine. And I built the servers so that if one went down, the rest stayed up. Example, if someone hacked the mail server, people could work on the progressive machine with their CalMed. If CalMed went down, they still had their email server. So, you know, I went way up, had their email server. So, you know, I went way above and beyond what I had to do in that company. Oh, the firewalling, you name it. And they got mad because I was actually doing a good job, and because I was doing a good job, they were losing control of their illegal activities. So they were coming after me. Example, Lorena Escobar was paying off people to hack up the network and try to pin it on me. She was paying off people to tamper with people's computers and to frame me, except the only problem was that all these people knew what she was doing to begin with, so you couldn't tell anyone. Anyways, how did I even get here? So my point is, in order to cover up what my father did, he's obviously paying off or working with the police and Christina Vescovo, stating that because my father told Lorena Escobar to contact me to hire me and put me on his payroll, which there's documentation of me being paid through Golden State Sports Medical, then especially with all my taxes, then it's up to him to fire his son if he doesn't like his son or is not happy. It took him 14 years to fire me, but the entire time he was trying to run me out of there and get me to quit. But remember, the police's argument is, well, if they don't like you, why didn't you quit? And that's because I couldn't go anywhere and still can't, because there's a worldwide campaign to kill me. So while I was there on the side, I was working on all these side companies to try to become independent and get away from him, while he and Lorena would take me out to lunch and pitch how criminals have double jobs, while having Lorena and Elsie Sandoval and other people in his office contact the programmers I was hiring worldwide in India, Japan, China, Germany, Russia, sabotaging my ability to make money on the side and get away from them. Now trying to cover up that with the severe torture and mental illness operations in his office to have me killed, or locked away to make me look crazy, to gaslight me, gang stalk me, trying to make it look like I'm a danger to myself or others. So the psychology community with Christina Vescovo is stating she's trying to claim with the police, now I somehow abused my father, and it's elder abuse. Well, how do you abuse your father? Okay, first of all, a psychiatrist or psychologist unethically cannot follow you around trying to get dirt on you with the police. Right there, they need to have their license taken away and should never be near psychology. Right? The only thing, and she told me this on the phone, and I have proof of this, the only thing a psychologist is allowed to report is if you are a danger to yourself or others, and that involves physical harm. Okay? So, for example, if I said fuck you to my mother at 14, that did not destroy her life, and that is not a danger to her. That is not abuse. But my mother following around with mass groups my entire life because I said fuck you, trying to torture me to death, is abuse. But is still abuse in such a way that is very difficult to prove. But my point is that if I go to a psychologist and go, look, my father was doing all these things to me in the office, blah, blah, blah. And she says, I'm going to go to the police and tell them that it's elder abuse and you're abusing your father. Well, my father is a 70-year-old man that if he feels that I'm abusing him, can say, Kevin, I don't want you to work here and you're fired, right? He is in control of the entire situation. So it would be impossible for me to abuse my father if he could say, I don't want you working here at any point, right? And that goes for every aspect of my father's and mother and brother's relationship. And remember I told you that earlier in this conversation that I've had Ally Universal Security claiming that I'm making them follow me from place to place all over California, telling me that I'm not allowed to have signs on my car that says Kevin Perlman Target and here's my website. I'm making them follow me around. Yeah, okay, sure. How am I doing that? Am I planting seeds in their brain to make them incriminate themselves and commit crimes? How about they just don't hunt me down and try to kill me? I mean, what kind of person says you're not allowed to have a sign on your car? My First Amendment says I can put whatever I want on my car, unless it's probably like lewd conduct. Like, okay, if I have naked women on my car, there's probably some weird law in there. But if it's a simple sign, go to my website, whether it's political, whether it's not, doesn't matter. First Amendment, freedom of speech. The Allied Universal Security Company, working with the government, police, and every other security company like ADT, Golden West, the one John Paul Naranjo was working for, are following me from place to place saying, you cannot have a sign on your car. I'm making them stalk me. But what they're really saying is, you don't talk or we'll kill you, and we're taking away your First Amendment freedom of speech. Because it's not just some crazy security guard, they're working with the police and government, and they're hired by the police and government, and they're also being paid by companies like Starbucks and Coffee Bean, who started these murder operations with them, right? You get the idea. So, well, Christina Vescovo is trying to say that loud underpass. Well, Christina Vescovo is trying to state and work with the police saying that I've somehow abused my father. Well, if my father felt that I have abused him, he could have said, Kevin, you're fired. Kevin, I don't like you. I don't want to talk to you. Or, more importantly, this is key. More importantly, if my father feels that I abused him somehow, or my mother and brother, they can walk up to me like adults, older than 10 years old, and say, Kevin, you did this and that's unacceptable and I don't like when you do this. Correct? Right? So, 14 years old, my mother claims I abused her and ruined her life because in our one fight ever, up until 29, I said fuck you to her. Who cares what people think? Her little perfect world came crashing down. I abused her, I ruined her life, she needs to hunt me down and kill me, with the government and psychology community saying I acted out in anger and rage and that's unacceptable. Well, why can't my mother just walk up and go, Kevin, that's unacceptable, go to your room, blah, 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 whatever, I'm taking the keys away from your car, you're grounded for a week, or we need to talk about this, or because she's a psychologist, or she has her therapy degree or whatever, she can say, Kevin, let's go get therapy together, right? If she wants to take that angle. But, what is my point? Never, in any of these situations, ever, up until 29, or till now, has there been any type of communication from my family about anything. So, if my family feels that I wronged them, that I'm a bad kid, they have never, to this point, addressed anything. In other words, there is no argument. Nothing. Kevin, you did this, or I think you did this. This is how it makes me feel. This is why I'm upset with you. Nothing at all. Zero communication. As a matter of fact, up until 29, I was telling everyone I had the greatest family since sliced bread. I thought they were the greatest thing around. Okay? So, can you imagine my surprise that I turned 29 and I find out that my family's telling the world I'm a horrible monster that needs to be hunted, killed, or removed from society? I mean, I don't even know where the fuck it comes from, right? Can you imagine that? Now, that's my point. Now, their latest is 2 years after, 2 years after watching my father pay off Lorena Escobar to torture and kill me with every resource known to man, he's now working with the psychology community and please saying that I have abused him somehow, and there's a crime that I abused him by me sitting in an office being tortured to death by 28 fucking employees for 14 years, working with a planet full of people, no matter where I went, no matter how far away I tried to get from them. For example, at the points where I tried to work from coffee shops or go out to the beach and use my laptop and like in my car, people were told to follow me or harass me at the beaches, at coffee shops, stopping me no matter how far I distanced myself to torture me to death and kill me with their computer hackers, with their mental illness operations in the office, with their audio surveillance they put in my house or in the Debbie Woolman's adjoining apartment, which I haven't really talked about. I don't want to go too far on this. Example, my father found me my property on Juliana and Burbank, then starts making hints about the movie Truman Burbank, trying to make me think I'm in the movie with all the other movies and all the other things. He's also using hints about Julia from Julia Hayes, a IRC girl Skylar sent after me in the mid to late 90s to skull fuck me to death and try to make me look crazy. So what they do is my father's real estate agent finds me this property, and they have someone in Van Nuys Court, room 101, named Debbie Woolman purchase the adjoining property to my wall in my townhouse. I think I might have mentioned this earlier, where they put audio surveillance in, and they're collecting the audio to try to use to make me mentally ill. Oh, that's right, I explained this the other day. And so they're doing things like that. Now recently, after these main arrests, after the 2017 arrest, they tried to put me in a courtroom with Debbie Woolman, where the lawyers pretended it's not a big deal. The court reporter just coincidentally never lived in her apartment, but had audio surveillance in it, right? Trying to flip me out. Now, if you want to dig deeper, Jen Pilchick, my sister-in-law, Jason Perlman, my brother's wife, Father Jay, is a court reporter in Florida, so you can see the connection and all the criminal activity that I've talked about with Jen Pilchick, right? Trying to set me up and frame me and make me mentally ill. So there's all sorts of things going on, and all these things are freakier than shit, but none of them, they're all way out of the ballpark of normal. And I guarantee that any honest judge, lawyer, anyone in the judicial system who's honest listens to what I have to say or looks at the proof, they're going to go, this is insane, this is unacceptable. Bottom line. Okay, now you'll like this. Yesterday I got a jury summons once again for Van Nuys courtroom 101, where Debbie Woolman, I don't know if she still is, a court reporter for that room, who owns the property adjoining my wall, who she's never lived in, who has audio surveillance, and obviously wants to try to get court records on things I say, which are all associated with my family and these illegal operations. Whether they're doing this to try to create paranoia, or they're doing it to try to get something solid to use against me. It's hard to say, but whatever it is, it's not kosher. It's highly illegal, and it's based on skull fucking, gaslighting, making someone mentally ill to kill them or rid them of the world. But you can see how this is connected to my family. Now they're trying to cover it up with the recent lie that this is somehow elder abuse, and I don't know what she's trying to imply with child abuse, because I'm not generally around kids. But some of their tactics in the past, for example, George Escobar in my father's office was working the kiddie porn tactic, and he kept walking up telling me that Dominique, which was one of the employees stalking me at the time, his brother works for the LAPD and catches people that do kiddie porn things, whatever, like in repetition over and over, and that's been a common theme. We have Officer Jensen trying to accuse me of being a pedophile. We have the Lynn Junkin setups, or not setups, but frame job attempts, setup attempts at frame jobs. And okay, so we have the Lynn Junkin setup attempts, frame jobs in University of Colorado, working with Mike Wexler, my brother, who I talked about that in some of my previous segments, how they tried to have her like befriend me in hopes they could get me to sleep with her, and Mike Wexler trying to manipulate me into situations. A friend introduced by my brother to me in the University of Colorado. Remember my brother's statement at 16, he and his friends put a teacher in a mental institution and then have a bug in my room and are listening to everything I do on the radio, trying to turn me into a violent, paranoid schizo. Working with Lynn Junkin on hacker accusations. I'm trying to make people mentally ill by hacking them. So I don't even know this girl other than meeting her at some IRC parties with a large group of people, right, of all ages. And she would follow me to parties trying to get confessions with my family, and Mike Wexler would work on me, showing me his lockpick sets, and then telling me that in Colorado statutory rape is below 16, in hopes he could get me to sleep with a 16-year-old and befriend her and things like this, right? So, do you see what I'm saying? We have a father, mother, brother. They're sending these people after me, and I'm not even coming close to any crimes. They then send Mike Wexler trying to manipulate me into liking some 16-year-old when I'm like 19 or 20. And then it doesn't work, so they got to cover up their crimes. You understand what I'm saying? And so, so now they're jumping. Remember, they're jumping from child porn and pedophilia, which doesn't exist, and now they're jumping to elder abuse, right? Does that sound a little strange? Oh, but wait, but before it was I stole $10,000 for an engine. Oh wait, but before that I was a car thief. Oh wait, but before that, what else? There's so many of these. Oh, I'm harassing waitresses. I'm acting out in anger and rage, harassing waitresses and all women. Oh, but wait, there's more. At 8 years old, I kissed a black girl, so I'm a white supremacist. Oh wait, but there's more. Corey Bixby asked me to drive her home, and because I accidentally pushed on the gas pedal like 1 millimeter too much, I ruined her life and harassed her with horrible, mean, passive-aggressive tactics, which she mentioned nothing of. Just worldwide groups hunting me down and killing me. right? But wait, there's more. You know, these claims and these lies and these smears. Oh, I try to mob Mila to death by telling her I liked her, a stripper at a strip club. Oh, but wait, there's more. I didn't just try to mob Mila at the strip club with mass people. I'm also a fraud, and all the adult websites that I built don't exist. All the hosting I did at Signet doesn't exist. All the studio photography and photo shoots I did doesn't exist, and it's all to meet women. But wait, there's more, right? Do you see something a little strange? And it's all to meet women. But wait, there's more, right? Do you see something a little strange here? Something, I mean, listen, if I'm your friend and I'm walking around and I go, that person killed a person, that person stole 32 cars, that person is a violent paranoid schizo, that person raped 10 women, that person bit 5 guys' dicks off, that person, right? Wouldn't that sound a little like inconsistent and strange? I mean, listen, I gotta be like super villain here, like I must have like tried to hunt down and kill every single person on this planet by now. I must have stole every single car that exists. I must have raped and pillaged every woman out there, right? Okay, so it's all fantasy, it's all fiction, right? And most of the people can see through that, so they have ulterior motives. But anyways, back to my point. My point is that Christina Vescovo is so desperate with the psychology community and my family that she is now working that Kevin is a child and elder abuser, right? And obviously there's no direct conversation about it because she'll look like a ass puppet. She'll just look like a stupid idiot. Okay, Christina, prove it. What have I done? And if I have done anything, has anyone else done anything to me? Would it have been in self-defense, even though there's really no argument she has to begin with, except I have the entire argument. I have 100,000 to 1 million people per day trying to kill me. I have endless proof of it. I am one man, isolated, all alone. So if I hop in my car, go to 7-Eleven, and I see 100 people show up trying to kill me, what's their excuse? Well, Kevin's making me do it because he smiled at a girl and I think it might have been an evil smile. Yeah, well, that doesn't quite justify hunting me down, following me with 100 people to a 7-Eleven and trying to make me mentally ill and kill me. And this happening every single night of my life, every single place I go, with worldwide NSA, FBI, internet-based murder systems, right? It's not justifiable. That's like me saying, you came over to my house and you sat in my lazy boy chair and you scratched your cheek, and when you scratched your cheek you elder abused me, so I have 1,000 people a day for the rest of your life following you from place to place to kill you, and now you got to go to a therapist and tell them what you did or I'll kill you. Hello. Scratching your cheek is not a crime, and if you're a psychotic murderer and I scratch my cheek, then you should stay the fuck away from me if that really bothers you and not call me. Right? Okay. Remember I talked about Aubrey Fisher. Kevin Perlman tapped his foot by me. For 6 years, worldwide groups follow me around tapping to try to kill me. Okay? I'm making her do it? Yeah. Right. Well, the way they're spinning these things has been consistent like that since 5 years old. Consistent. From my brother thugging and terrorizing me. He claims I made him do it. I made my brother be a thugging, bullying, terrorist brother. I made him do it. I made my brother take me on cruises with my father and a psychology degree, and the psychology community planting Kershaw knives on me, trying to flip me out in paranoid schizo reactions while serving me B-52s and kamikazes over and over all night, using the name Perlman to hint about Pearl Harbor and hinting that I did something to his girlfriend, his Asian girlfriend, Shen Yang. Right? I'm making him do it? Was it because I was too busy ignoring him and doing a watercolor painting or something, so I made him do it, right? You get the point. These people will say anything, but the bottom line is they all have an agenda. They're all working together with the psychology community to just exterminate me. Okay, so yeah, so that's the elder abuse one from Christina Vescovo. Now, do you think that this person should be near people with their psychology degree? I mean, there were things, I had conversations with her about, and these things are all documented, so you can look at the line by line things that she did and said. Do you think that it's okay? I told her about, oh, I have police scanner recordings of the police labeling random people as mentally ill, putting on watch lists and stalking them. And her response was good. I said, so you don't care that this person is being labeled as mentally ill and hunted by the cops? No. Good for the cops. Wait. So this person's in the psychology community, or at least she's posing to me. Oh. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to talk about the psychology community. You'll notice a certain pattern of behavior with the psychology community to me, and this is the same exact pattern of behavior with women. This is the same exact pattern of behavior with women as the psychology community, and really anyone, any group, like lawyers or whatever. But I'll start with the psychology community. So, back in 2013, sorry, I got the chills. Back in 2013, I was, like I said, I hired Karine Eschigan to try to talk about my life and what was being done. And I spent with her working with the police to try to talk about my life and what was being done. And I spent with her working with the police to remove me from society. And then after that, I contacted about 24 more psychologists, and each and every one refused to help me. Hence, as I mentioned before, making the movie Split, because I put 24 psychologists wouldn't help me on the front of my website, Kevin Perlman Target. They got mad because they didn't want me talking about what was being done to my life to cover up their mass crimes. So they made the movie Split. Character's name is Kevin. He has 24 personalities, just like me saying there's 24 shrinks which refuse to help me, trying to stop me from talking. Some of his personalities are taken actually from my Twitter jokes, right? Part fragments of them. You get the idea. As some kind of revenge, we're going to try to skull fuck you to death for coming to us for help, and then as they would say, snitching on their friends who are trying to kill me. The dynamic is this. You get the idea. The psychology community is not going to help me, just like anyone else. Okay, so I want to talk about the dynamics of trying to find a therapist, or even meeting people, which is the same exact template or theorem my entire life, whether it be trying to find a lawyer for help, or trying to date a girl, going to the psychology community, whether it's to freely get help or court-ordered help, which is obviously a setup to try to make my life so impossible something really bad happens, to create so much pain and anxiety to try to get reactions to remove me from society, and then make up some lame excuse because it's from childhood trauma or something stupid like that. But let me give you the process. Okay. Well, first of all, like I said before, the well's been poisoned. Okay, my family, the police, government have spewed out lies to the entire planet to destroy my name and reputation, which is beyond any level of illegal, and anyone can see through it. But that being said, I can call as many people as I want, and the honest people, they're not going to want to get involved. I mean, I wouldn't, right? Like, if I was a psychologist or a lawyer or something, and Kevin Perlman called me, who is a worldwide target, being hunted by the NSA, FBI, psychology community, and every single person he's been in contact with since 5 years old calls me, I'm gonna be like, I don't even know how to help you, right? Now, that shouldn't apply to everyone, but it is, because there are people in power positions that normally would say this is unacceptable, and there's news organizations that should be saying this is unacceptable. And if I was a news organization and you called me, I would say, yes, this is on the news immediately. But let's stick to psychologists, because they're all involved, or their friends are involved, and they're more loyal to criminal murdering psychologists than they are to helping people, which is strange, because why are they in psychology? To get their jollies torturing and killing people? No matter how many psychologists I call, they're going to be, I don't want to deal with this, because he knows what's going on. I can't pull the wool over his eyes. And he's going to end up stating things that I don't want to hear, because they're so demented, which really need to go in history books so this never happens again to anyone else. Because my life's already destroyed and wasn't 5 years old. And telling me to take the green or blue pill or whatever and pretend like it didn't happen after 40 years of this is like, yeah, okay, sure. Why don't I just fly around on a magic carpet at the same time while you're at it? Okay, so, those people aren't going to want to deal with it. Which is probably a large amount. And I've talked to some like, look, I'll pay you just to listen, like most shrinks do, because most of them are pretty worthless anyways, and I'll just talk and you listen. And I feel better about myself, and you get some insight on my life. Nope, absolutely not. Okay, so then you're met with the thugs, right? The good people don't want to deal with it, so then you're met with the thugs. And the thugs are like the Christina Vescovas. I'm going to have the cops follow you where I want them to follow you. For example, she wanted to meet me at Cross Creek, Malibu Shopping Center, and then to talk about, for a session, and then she changed it up to, let's eat, I'm hungry. Then she tried to make it look like an unethical date, even though it really doesn't matter. There's no law that states you can't eat and do therapy or whatever in a restaurant, and nobody in a remote mind could give a flying fuck normally. Okay? So then what she does is she has a cop pull up and park backwards next to her car just as we're walking out, and at one point she even walks in the bathroom texting probably the police or someone on their notification systems, and timing things, right, to make sure all the time is accurate when they show up and this and that. Okay, so you got that. What else? Okay, so that fits the thug category, right? I'm gonna try to thug you by hinting that you're an elder abuser to cover up what your father did to you, and go from thing to thing, trying to work their paranoid schizo tactic, just like the police are doing. Example, Jen Hess is sent after me. I supposedly stalked Jen Hess. Bailey Bernard assaults and batteries me. I supposedly batter Bailey Bernard. Terrence Roggins is told and paid off to hunt me down, try to set me up. I supposedly did something to Terrence by telling him to leave me the fuck alone, right? The security guard is told to hit me 7 times in the head to try to kill me or put me in a coma or whatever, which I luckily defended myself and stopped him. And everyone is told I attacked a security guard. My brother does his childhood shit and thugs and terrorizes me, and the world is told that I somehow did something to my brother, made him do it, and then tried to kill him. Right? You get the idea. All these things are being done to me, and then they go, look what Kevin did to me. Just creating pure fiction out of each and everything. And when they create these lies, it goes out worldwide. Right? Well, that's the point where everyone should be saying something's really strange here, because this is all one-sided propaganda, and the guy has zero defense. A billion, like 3.5 billion to 1 doesn't quite seem fair, honest, and the only type of person that does something like that is Adolf Hitler. Okay, so you have the thugs, and the thugs are, we're going to do what it takes. Oh, and also I've been met with several death threats with people showing up, working with these psychologists, saying you don't talk, right? Okay, so that tells you what you need to know, right? Example, you go to your first session, you tell them what's going on, you go home, you have some guy show up, you're a snitch, you're dead, I'm gonna kill you, right? I've had all sorts of, the next time I went to go see Christina Vescovo in Westlake, I go to a Starbucks after, the guy walks up to me, he says, you don't talk, whatever, and I can't remember the rest, and he starts hinting about a girl from Woodland Hills a couple weeks prior that slapped me, which is all on security camera, Starbucks security camera, and my camera as well, who then tried to say I hit her, just like Jen Hess, right, same types of things, except Jen Hess never hit me, she just made up, right, same types of things, except Jen Hess never hit me, she just made up the lie out of thin air. You get the idea, and they're all working together trying to reaffirm or make it look like there's patterns of behaviors of me doing the same thing over and over, but yet it's all complete fiction and none of it exists. It's just a mass conspiracy to end my life. Where was I? So that's the thug tactic, right? The death threats. Now, eventually, like all these groups and communities, they realize that they can't blackmail, thug, torture, and kill me quiet. So now, what happens is, nobody wants to return your call or talk to you because they don't want the truth coming out, and you don't want to tell it how it is, which is strange because my life is at stake. There are people worldwide trying to hunt me and kill me, and there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to walk up to anyone on the planet and state exactly what is going on and why they're doing it and what their problem is and whatever, especially in the psychology community. There is no reason. The only reason a psychologist wouldn't want me to say anything to them is that they're probably obligated to report a crime, and if I go to them and say, here's video footage of this guy trying to kill me with his dog or threatening that he's going to kill me, the very things that the police are trying to turn around on me, they're obligated to go to the police, and that they don't want the responsibility of saying something that could hurt one of their murdering friends in the so-called psychology community, which is a danger I find out to most people. I mean, you're pretty much in danger, okay, from them. Your life is at risk from the psychology community. That's a very strange statement for me to say, but it actually is true. Once you fall into a certain category. Okay, so now nobody wants to talk to you except one group. The batshit, banana ball, crazy, loony nut jobs. Just the psycho of psycho, right? They are the only ones that want to talk to you, and usually it's because they want to finish the job, right? Okay? So these are the ones that sit there, they scheme things with all the other people, they have people show up at your house doing things like Corinne Eschigan. For example, Corinne Eschigan, at one point, this was back in 2013, I go out to take a walk, Terrence Strogan comes out the gate screaming at me that I glued his mailbox together, right? You know, and you sort of try to talk to the loony who's being paid off to kill you, working with the psychology community, and then you find out at your next appointment with Corinne Eshigan that she's collecting the conversations from Terrence Strogan's to try to make me look crazy, but she's not concerned that some fucking random psychopath following me around accusing me of things and trying to kill me, right? Well, if you go to a psychiatrist, you pay her for your help, you tell her that people are stalking you, and all of a sudden she's working with people to stalk you, and she's not concerned if anything that the guy says. Just if you have to say anything at all in defense, no matter how subtle, she's going to twist and contort, right? And she's working with the police, and they're sending more and more people after you. Okay, you don't think that's strange? I mean, I've never met Corinne Eshigan before that, right? And you can't chalk that up as like, oh, you didn't get along. No, this person is actively hunting me, which is a crime. It's attempted murder, or I'm sure there's some crime on the book of I'm going to befriend you and try to hunt you down, kill you, or lock you away. There's got to be something on the crime for that. I mean, if they're actively hunting you, showing premeditation to hurt, harm, maim, or kill you. Okay, so you have, in the end, you're left with the craziest of the crazies that want to call you. For example, I've been contacting thousands of therapists for the last several months to go see a therapist, and after they realized I'm not going to be bullied into that 1984 we're going to torture you quiet and sit there and take the pain until you're dead and forget anything ever happened, and so I just keep calling them, and they don't want anything to do with me, and they play this game which is completely backwards. I just don't feel that I can see you because I'm not qualified to help you. Well, listen, psychologists or therapists are like, they're spoiled. It's like I said before, they're spoiled kids, most of them, who got their college, their daddy or mommy paid for their college education, and even though I came from that, but whatever, their daddy and mommy paid for their college education, they took some psychology classes, got a master's degree, and now they think there's something special. There's some yabo that sits there and listens to what you have to say, and you pay them a couple $100 an hour, and trust me, they are no genius or anything special, most of them. And so these people sit there and pretend like they're some kind of super brain surgeon in some kind of movie, right? And so what the fuck do they care? They're just gonna listen and nod their head and go whatever and thank you for the money, right? So instead, each and every one says, I don't feel I'm qualified to help you. Why? Why do they have that packaged response? Well, they have the packaged response because they're trying to manipulate me into going to see a psychiatrist to force medication on me with bullshit labels that I suffer from paranoid schizophrenia or any other bullshit label that they feel like making up to get what they want. That is why they're all told to do the same exact packaged behavior, just like every woman I meet is told to cry wolf and say I've done something to them and I'm acting out in anger and rage. None of it exists. It's just a family who hates their child and wants them dead and gone. Okay, so where are we? So now my point is, at the end of the day, I'll just keep calling 100,000 to 1,000,000 psychiatrists or therapists or whoever, and they're all going to be told to play the same exact game. We won't help you, but this one person that we're trying to force on you is going to help you, and you do what they say. Right? Okay. Now let's apply that to women for the past 46 years. Same exact thing. I was not allowed to meet women. I was not allowed to have sex with women. I was not allowed to be friends with women. I mean, I had some women friends, but they were my jailers. But I wasn't allowed to have anything in life, but in this controlled bubble, which is still the case. And then my father tried to force women on me. Example, Adriana Olivares. Whether Jen Hess was forced on me, I don't think so. I think she was just trying to remove me from society. But my father, well, basically sabotaging every aspect of free will, so to speak. With this is who I like and this is who I want to date, the same exact pattern of behavior on their side. Each woman was told that I'm this horrible monster, that I did all these things. They were told to cry wolf, saying I did this and I did that to them. And so you go from one to the next, trying to just find one. And then once they see that you're not gonna tolerate that super abusive behavior, then everyone's told that I'm a perfectionist and I demand perfection. So to explain that another way, if every girl or boy you're told to meet is told to do the things like a murderer, a serial killer, or a psychotic murderer would do, and you said I'm not going to tolerate some abusive murderer in my life, and you just kept walking away from that psychotic murderer personality, and then they said, well, you know, this guy demands perfection because he won't settle for a psychotic murderer that's going to basically kill him. They're basically setting the stage so that you do what they want. And then what they do is they go, like my father did, hey Kevin, I want you to meet this person. Here's Adriana Olivares. Right? So sabotaging every possibility of a relationship, who I want to pick and choose, who I mesh with, who I like, someone that I can have a coexistence with based on I like you and you like me, right? You know, the things that every single person on this planet has, except me. I like you, we both have something in common, we relate, we do things together, we do things that can benefit from, and if you cross that line of being abusive towards me, I walk away and I find someone else that isn't going to be like that, is not allowed in my life. And that's my point, is my father tried to force Adriana Olivares on me, blackmail me into it. If she didn't get what she wanted, my father with Lorena Escobar was told to basically hunt me down and kill me with worldwide support and punishment. You take what we give you or else. It was never directly said that way, but it was implied, and then in order to cover it up and dictate my life, you're too picky and this and that, right? Okay, so it's the same exact packaged behaviors and systematic dictating my life. Now, I can't imagine that a family would actually think that someone, especially their son, is going to tolerate something like that. Bringing up the real questions of this, I'm trying to force women on you and tell you which therapist you can see and whether you can or can't. Oh, oops. Shit. Shit. Sorry. That was weird. There was like this whole lineup of traffic and whatever. So, and they were all waiting. None of them were hanging right turn. So it's great. Okay, so anyways, I can't imagine my family actually thinking that I would put up with that abuse, because nobody would, right? If I walked up to you and I said, remember, nothing was directly said to me, it was implied by their behaviors. But if I walked up to you and said, you're going to date this girl, or we're going to hunt you and kill you, or lock you in jail cells or mental institutions, and you don't say anything, what do you think your response to me would be, right? You would be like, fucking, if you don't stay the fuck away from me, I'll probably blow your brains out in self-defense. Anyways, you get the idea. That there's no way you're going to expect someone to put up with that type of thing. So what's the real reasoning? Because if they know that if anyone sane is not going to tolerate that, what is the reasoning? Well, the reasoning is pretty much to off you, to create these insane situations that look crazy, and then you say, I'm not going to be part of it, and then you say you don't walk away, you're a snitch or a rat and you're dead, right? And then the entire situation looks batshit crazy, just like gang stalking or gaslighting, and it's really difficult to tell people about. But the only difference is that most of the people I'm in contact with worldwide know me to begin with, okay? And so that's why I keep exposing what's going on, because I'm sick of dealing with person after person worldwide letting me know they know me, and then saying I don't know you, while taking turns in anger and rage on me, then saying you don't talk, hence trying to create that scenario, well, where you're 10 times more known than Donald Trump, but I'm telling you, you're imagining it, right? The entire concept of them trying to make me look like a paranoid schizo. That's their entire leverage card. So now, I guess the point I'm getting at is that once you understand the psychology, once you understand the psychology behind the psychology community and these illegal government operations, you understand how they work. And I can explain in detail, explicitly, all these operations from person to person in my life, but the people need to understand it, because the people are being fed bullshit, propaganda. And it's like I said earlier, when there is a person on this planet and there's worldwide propaganda systems built around him, blasting every lie known to man about him, people should have enough common sense to ask the important questions. Why is this really happening? And what kind of person does that to someone? And I can assure you, the lame excuse that Kevin is such a horrible monster, so we've built worldwide control systems around him, while Mike Huntley says, we're using the system against you doesn't make any sense. You know, Mike Huntley walking around the office dropping papers on my desk about South Korea and making people mentally able to control them doesn't exist. I mean, I can't tell you about South Korea, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist there, but in the US it does not exist. If people are following you around, making you mentally able to control you, what they're really doing is hunting you down, trying to kill you, called murder. There's no such thing as I'm going to control you by sending you schizophrenic reference messages to try to make you look crazy and tell you that you have to ignore it. And while Christina Vescovo has told me that I have to ignore these endless attacks, my lawyer, Seymour Amster, has told me I have to ignore these endless attacks. People around me have told me I have to ignore these endless attacks. Okay? How many people do you know that tell you that you have to accept being abused and tortured to death? How many? Nobody would tell you that. I have a father telling me people aren't allowed to defend themselves on any level. They're not allowed to talk to people, tell people what's going on. If someone pulls out a gun, an Uzi, starts shooting at you, you're not allowed to shoot back. You just die. I have lawyers, especially mine now, that I've paid shitloads of money, saying ignore being hunted and killed. I have Christina Vescovo, also a fraudulent quack posing to be a psychologist or therapist, saying ignore the severe abuse. Now, I'm probably going to end this pretty soon because it's just sort of dragging on, but I wanted to explain really quick the dynamics so you understand why someone would tell you to ignore severe abuse. Why someone would tell you to ignore severe abuse. Okay? So I'm going to explain this. And it should be common sense. Now, when people are in situations where things are being done to them, human genetics, it creates pain. Right? Now, any type of pain is bad. Whether, like me, you have 40 people per day walking by and whistling at you to drive you insane, creates pain. While Christina Vescovo witnessed the whistling tactic, which I have endless proof of with video and audio recordings on my website, she witnessed the chef in a restaurant whistling at me, which happens at every restaurant in the world, and that's how the whistling tactic started at 29. It ramped down and now it's coming back as hints that I'm a whistleblower. And she witnessed this and she said, ignore it. Now, of course she was trying to pawn it off as so some guy's whistling, not as a repetitive tactic, but she damn well knew who I am, lying to my face, she doesn't know me, and that the tactic exists and is done over and over all day and night. So, my point is that if 40 people per day are told to whistle at you, if 100 people per day are told when they see you tap their foot or hand, if 60 people per day see you are told to say man in mid-sentence to you, and 1,000 other similar repetitive worldwide terror tactics like that, it does what? It creates severe pain. Now, there's different kinds of pain. There's punching someone in the face pain, there's stabbing them pain, there's shooting them pain, and then there's a psychological pain. But I can tell you one thing, pain is pain. Okay? People genetically don't like pain, whether they're physically touched or not. The pain is the same exact pain. Now, or not, the pain is the same exact pain. Now, it's if you're with someone and they keep giving you dead arms, every couple of minutes they keep giving you dead arms. And this never stops. Every single day for the rest of your life. Never ever stops. They're not going to stop. Ever. You walk away from them, whatever. You hide in the bathroom, they break in the bathroom. You fly to New York, they tell their friend in New York to give you dead arms. You go in a movie theater, some stranger starts hitting you, giving you dead arms, right? Okay. Now, normal human behavior is to sit there and first you wonder what's going on. Then you say, okay, you know, enough's enough, stop. Okay, you've done it enough, stop. Okay, stop. And then after that point, you start to get defensive, right? Okay? And eventually, and everyone has done this, the guy giving you dead arms, you give him a dead arm back, right? But the guy doesn't stop. He keeps giving you dead arms. So you give him another dead arm back, right? And then you give him another dead arm back, right? And it just starts to escalate because he won't stop. But this isn't one guy. Let's say it's 100,000 guys. Everywhere you go, right? Each day it's 100,000 people. It just gets to larger and larger groups. Now, your therapist and your lawyer, who are paid to help you, say ignore it. Okay? If I gave you 1,000 or 10,000 dead arms a day for the rest of your life and then told you to ignore it, do you think you could ignore it for how long? Right? You can't. Okay? That is like saying I want you to hop on your bicycle and hover around and fly to Vegas. Right? It can't happen. So now, the very people, yes, right? It can't happen. So now, the very people you're paying to help you are putting you in a position or giving you bullshit that can't possibly happen. Why? Okay, now this is the most important part. I'm going to explain it. It can't happen, or the reasoning they want me to ignore it instead of instantly reacting and defending myself is because they're trying to create that ticking time bomb. Okay? Like the Vegas shooter or the Unabomber, right? You understand what I'm saying? They want to create that Unabomber. They want to create the Vegas shooter. They're not concerned about my health. Why? Well, they're not concerned about my health. Why? Well, as I explained earlier, they don't want me talking about what I know, hence they want to either kill me or rid me of the world. Okay? So, they are intentionally trying to make me look like the Unabomber, like the Vegas shooter, even the shit that Dincy was spouting on his Facebook page about the Vegas shooter, and that people with mental illness, you have to be, we have to watch out for people like the Vegas shooter, fear-mongering and directing lots of crap like that towards me, trying to make it look like I'm the Vegas shooter, even though, like I said before, I don't really care much about guns, never had a gun, never owned a gun, yet my father's been doing things trying to plant guns and frame me with guns my entire life with Paul Humphrey or whatever. Okay, and my brother. So, the reasoning is, if I keep giving you dead arms, and then I say ignore it, by the time you react, because you didn't react before, you're holding back, right? You're like, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to react, I'm not going to react, right? Now what happens when you react? The reaction is 1,000,000 times bigger than if you instantly reacted, correct? Okay, so now, what am I saying here? I'm telling you that my lawyer, who's been paid shitloads of money to keep me out of jail and expose corrupt trash cops trying to kill me, and the entire psychology community is telling me, is trying to set me up to make me look like the Unabomber by saying ignore it. That is their entire reasoning. Ignore it until you explode. Now remember, on the last segment of video, I talked about my brother and his combustion burgers, and telling the world that I'm trying to make women blow up, passive-aggressively provoke them to make them blow up in anger. Hence Brian Weaver taking me to Kevin's Burgers, where all the hot rods show up while everyone's doing these things to me, and at the same time trying to hint or accuse me that I'm somehow doing these things to women. Now remember, like I talked about Corey Bixby, Kevin, will you drive me home? Kevin, me, does absolutely nothing. I drive her home. She's irate. She wants me dead and gone. Right? Victoria Walker, the same things. Jen S, the same things. Julia Sophia, the same things. Skylar, the same things. Tom Farley, the same things. Every person I've been in contact with since 5 years old, I have done absolutely nothing to, and they have created endless fiction and disseminated it worldwide in these worldwide murder operations, spewing out I'm doing these horrible things to people. Okay? Yet there's absolutely nothing I've done but be the nicest person known to man to everyone in my path. I've even been accused of harassing people by not smiling perfectly. Okay? I don't even know. If one of their accusations is that I've harassed people because, hey, I don't even know. If one of their accusations is that I've harassed people because it's a miscommunication from my smile, that's the end all be all of you just can't win because they're coming after you no matter what. Okay? Yesterday or this morning it was some hint that because I used to hold the door open for people and be nice to them, because I didn't get something out of it, I've exploded in anger or something. I think that was from like a porn star, a hint from Danielle Derrick, a porn star that actually followed me to Encino Starbucks, working with some people to try to bait me into reactions. You get the idea, right? And so these are all the shit that all these people need to come forward with instead of trying to bury this shit under the fucking carpet and hang me for finding out that I'm being hunted and killed with worldwide support. But my point is that my own lawyer, with all the other ones, every person in the psychology community, are saying weird, freaky things like ignore being tortured and killed. Okay? Who would tell you that? Nobody. My father and Mike Huntley are telling me to, people aren't allowed to defend themselves, meaning we're going to hunt you down and kill you, accept it and die. I have people telling me, accept what's going on or it's going to get a lot worse for me, meaning we're going to hunt you and kill you, and you better just be prepared to die. I have Kareen Eshigan telling me that people with anxiety die at a young age, meaning it's a death threat. I have Seymour Amster, my own lawyer, basically saying ignore being tortured, attacked, hunted, and killed. I have the psychology community helping my lawyer say ignore it and just accept being tortured, hunted, and killed, or when something happens, just blow up in anger and rage, and so we can lock you away in jail cells or mental institutions. Right? You get it? Right? No lawyer's going to tell you that. No person's going to tell you that unless they want you dead and gone. And this is not one person. This is worldwide groups. And I think there's probably 2.5 to 3 hours of video in this. But I really sort of wanted to try to make you understand through the intricacies what the psychology community, the judicial system, and all these people are doing to end my life, and how they operate, the things I'm being told, which is known as disinformation, with motive to hunt me down, set me up, kill me, or lock me away forever. And remember, my own lawyer Seymour Amster told me forever, and remember, my own lawyer Seymour Amster told me they want to incarcerate me for life, and at the same time, like I said before, intentionally lost the case so that he can help them, okay? Which is beyond any level of unethical, and anyone in the bar association would never tolerate a lawyer doing that, and instantly would disbar them, provided it was proven, or they had enough to show that he is a murderer. You get the idea. No one would tell you that. You would go to a lawyer and he would say, Kevin, what's the case? What's going on? Give me all the information. And then he would say, this is fucking unacceptable. Period. That's what he would say. This is unacceptable. Okay? There is nothing that justifies what's being done to my life. Nothing. Unless you're saying that at 5 years old, I built an atomic bomb and blew up 100,000 people in a football stadium or something like that. It cannot be justified what's being done to my life. Ooh, this is like, it's a two-way street, but it's the size of a one-way, and that's never going to happen with cars coming in. So that's my point, is that normally the government doesn't spend billions of dollars executing someone unless they've done something horrible like bin Laden, or have flown airplanes into Twin Towers and killed like 10,000 people or something like that. You're normally not hunted from pre-crime, if that makes sense. I think, what if Kevin's crazy? What if Kevin is like the Vegas shooter? What if Kevin is like the Unabomber? That's not the way the Constitution of the United States works. The Constitution of the United States specifically states you are a free man to be as funny, weird, emotional, comical, expressive, weird, out there, different, whether it be from mental illness, whether it be because my father's scam that you think differently than other people, whether you're like the guy that used to skate around Venice Beach on roller skates playing the Jimi Hendrix guitar with the turban on, that nobody could give a flying fuck about, right? Going, that guy's pretty cool. The Constitution of the United States states one thing: you are a free man until you commit a crime, and the punishment must be, what's the word? The punishment must be the same size as the crime. So, if you shoplifted $1 item, then your punishment is to be equivalent to that theft of that $1 item, which people would laugh about, right? Not if you tapped your foot around Aubrey Fisher. There's a worldwide campaign to hunt you down and kill you for the rest of your life for the foot tapping troll crime, which doesn't exist, when the reality of the situation is, if Aubrey Fisher is that sensitive and a psychotic murderer, she should never have contacted me in the first place, but she was obviously contacting me on a government murder operation, because how does she have the government worldwide resources that have been started since the age 5, as I have been followed from place to place? Example, before the internet, I go to Calabasas High. The entire high school is told to do these things to me. I moved to Southern Oregon State. Everyone in Ashland, Oregon is notified to do these things to me. I moved to University of Colorado. The entire state of Colorado is told to do these things to me. 1994, the internet comes around, government-built systems, which are now more privately used. My brother calls me up on the phone with his agenda to have me killed, with worldwide support of the police, government, my family, hence starting in on me at IRC, sending all those people after me to have me killed on IRC. You get the idea. Later on, when I get to my college days, I will talk about the timeline of the information flow of how these circles get bigger and bigger in the communication before and after the internet, and how these tools are being used to hunt me down and kill me with worldwide support. So I'll end it here because I've been talking a lot, and I know this segment is probably very fragmented and less organized than my other conversations, and that's because I really didn't know where this was going when I wanted to start off my conversation, and I didn't have it kind of documented on text of a outline or flow, or I don't have, all these events are kind of random and different, but they're all connected and associated. So that's it for tonight. Until the next segment, which I'm going to try to go back to 16 years old and fill in a lot of the other random events, like my family's reaction to 16 years old getting a driver's license, and the ramifications in my life of backing out of Carlos Salas's incredibly long driveway in my Trans Am and accidentally scraping the car against the side of the fence, with my family telling the world that I'm out on the roads sideswiping cars, to sort of fill in those blanks of how my family is using imperfection against me to have me hunted and killed with worldwide support with the police and government. So that's it, and till next one.